this island of truth in my mind. It's like a wasteland thrown into a wasteland. Wish my face can shapeshift into a spaceman so I can fly away, fly far from here. But I'm gonna come back another day when love is in the air, love fills the air. I'm gonna say bye bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. It had died like freedom died. And I dreamed we all became AI. I used to be a big part of a cult. It was the largest in history. Shrouded in mystery, it was not my fault. You see, some are in it to win it, yeah, they love it. And there were others like me who didn't know we were a part of it, just above it, or below. That's kinda like their motto. As above, so below, don't you know? They're gonna show through their signs, symbols they made up in their minds, with a demonic alliance, a symbiotic compliance. The more explicit the violence, the more explicit the clients, the more complicit the silence, and this becomes the allegiance. It's the dark legion of demons, penned in blood these agreements. They lead to wealth and achievements, and orchestrated bereavements, and sacrificial appeasements, all to please the phoenix. And now your soul is part of the remix. It gets so lonely sometimes on this island of truth in my mind. It's like a wasteland thrown into a waste can. I hope my face can shapeshift into a spaceman so I can fly away, fly far from here. But I'm gonna come back another day when love is in the air, love's in the air. It had died like freedom died. So many innocent children are ruined, and what the fuck is anybody doing? Parents see an opportunity apparently to be suing Pope, hoping he gon' open trust funds, maybe get a little slush funds from the hush funds. I mean, damn, they got balls, and damn, they got sharp claws. Putting serpents up on the walls and down the hall. It's so lonely sometimes on this island of truth in my mind. It's like a wasteland thrown into a waste can. I know my face can shapeshift into a spaceman so I can fly away, fly far from here. Come back another day when love is in the air, love's in the air. When love is in the air, when love fills the air. By numbers, 1, 2, 3. It's as easy to learn as your ABC. When love is in the air, when love is in the air, when love is in the air, when love is in the air.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? It is Thursday, and it is also the second debate. And also, it's Boogaloo Night 2?
Yeah.
Part 2?
Yep.
There you go. And we be strapped, son. If you're wondering why we be strapped, we've been having a few people lurking around outside our place of recent. So if the dogs start barking, we might have to bounce out of the chat real quick and take care of business. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, well, that's what we're going to have to do.
But Riddle Girl be styling.
Oh, Riddle Girl wants to show off.
Let's see if I can get my foot up there.
Okay, get your foot up here.
Woo!
There wasn't the laptop. She's not used to moving around these tight corners
No, I'm not.
with all that. Can you turn that down just a little bit, Riddle Girl, because I can hear it through my headphones. So.
Unfortunately, when my headphones disconnected, it turns on.
Oh, okay. There you go.
All right, hold on.
Oh, nope, not quite. There it is. Look at that. Oh, you got RGB shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she found some children's shoes in her size, so she got really happy. Now she has LED, RGB shoes. All right, let's read some of the chat. You guys been chatting it up pretty good. Matt Zeus shared a link to a YouTube page, how the debate's gonna go down. I have a cough drop because I have phlegm in my throat, so every once in a while I might mute the cough. Cooper says hello to everybody. Riddle Girl says hi back. And dang, you got my name, huh? Well, apparently Riddle Girl has a better memory than I do. So yeah, you got your name that way, I suppose. Still under the weather, guys. I get sick this time of the month since kids, worst timing. You know what? If you don't want us to say the name, which is fine, just let us know because I get it. There's some times where people will come into my chat and just like, hey, first name, insert here. I'm like, maybe you should ask if I'm cool with you blabbing my first name, my actual first name on my channel. And not just this channel. It happened on my gaming channel recently, too. And I'm not really comfortable with it, especially on the gaming channel, because I want to keep that as anonymous as possible. Probably won't, though, will it? No. Matt Zoo, still under the weather. I get sick sometimes this month, or this kind of sick this time of month since a kid. Yeah, that's not a great timing for that. No. QL, let's get ready to rumble. Nice. Secret Service, ready to see Secret Service arrest Joe on the spot. I doubt it. I doubt it. Hell, that should have happened in 2012, but they were killing everyone. Biden gonna get so shook he tries to fight Trump. They're gonna hold him back. Ooh, that would be something. I served under Bush, Obama, switched sides with ISIS and Iran. Okay. Let's see. Scroll down too far. What the heck? Okay, here we go. Broken Patriot's in the house. I see you tried to do a live stream earlier today, Broken Patriot. Real Girl was watching. I was busy editing videos, so I wasn't able to see it.
It was just a test.
It was another test? Okay. Cooper says, haha, you ready? Wow, nice woodland. How much is that vest? This vest, I think we paid around $80 per. This is a, oh, I already forgot the name of the company. Condor, yeah, that's it. It's a Condor XL. Because I wanted one that was quite adjustable. Because I bought this when I was 370 pounds. And so I needed something that was very adjustable. Because right now I'm at 318 pounds. And already I got to adjust it again. Because it's way too big. Let's see. Wow, damn, are you serious? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going around our house lately. We have a church that's right next door to our house, and people have been stealing from it. We caught one of them stealing, and we let him go because we couldn't prove anything. We shouldn't have let him go. That was bad on our part. However, we believe they've been back since now one of our next door neighbors has some stuff stolen from his house. And then we found a shopping cart filled with homeless people's stuff in a bush that's right on the side of our house. Yeah, so yeah, we're ready to bounce at a moment's notice if we hear the dogs barking, just so you know. Trump donated info leak their website showing our names, not a drill. Trump donate info leak their website showing our names. I don't know what you mean by that, Matt Zoo. You're gonna have to elaborate. Try it.
Share that link.
Huh?
He needs to share that link. He's got a wrench.
Yeah, share a link if you need to share a link. Tired of people around here and what they do. Broken Patriot, Trump will have a special guest tonight. Is that confirmed? That'll be interesting. I hope it's I hope it's the store owner for where the laptop got repaired. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hoping for. Saints and Sappers looks like a serious live chat. Yep, we're serious. What's up, Irish? How you doing? Nice vest, guys. Those army issues? No, I don't believe so. They're condors. And I bought them brand new because I don't like buying stuff used. Well, certain things I don't mind buying used. I bought these headphones used. I buy a lot of things used. But when it comes to my gear, I usually, unless it's not essential, I usually don't like to buy it used. What's up, Saints? No, they aren't, but they're nice. Dang, I know that feeling, people lurking around your property while I got barbed wire. There you go. You guys must be expecting guests. We're ready for them if they do show up. What's up, Irish? How you doing? Poison is fine. Stinger is fine. I usually go by Stinger. That's why my gaming channel is called Stinger's Playground. Or Stinger's Playground. I changed it once, so I sometimes get that wrong. What's up, Broken Patriot? I can't wait to see Tony walk out. Why does it keep doing that? Can't wait to see Tony walk out with Trump. Who's Tony? Is that the store owner? Yeah, buddy. Show enough. I'm going live tonight at 10. All right, cool. Congratulations. Everybody that wants to check out Broken Patriot live later, he'll be live at 10. You lose some weight. Yep, I lost over 40 pounds, right? That's about right so far. Paintball gun? No. Can you share the link? Great night vision operation light up with a paintball gun. I would love to have night vision. I would love to have it. I don't have that kind of cash right now. I put it all in this pistol that I got on me right now. All people that donate to Trump, info was leaked on a website. They can search. It's all common info now. It's BS. That is BS. Luckily, I did not donate to Trump. Although Riddle Girl's brother in real life got a letter on his door saying that he'd been targeted as a Trump supporter and they plan on coming and getting him if Trump wins. Yeah. And then there you go. Fox News, Politics Press. All right, well we'll copy that. We'll look at that. Why not? We got a little bit of time. We got what, 20 minutes? Mm-hmm. So there we go. Let me go over to webpage. Oh, I hate these things. I don't want to add. President Trump plans to bring Hunter Biden's associate Tony something or another on there. Fine. Oh, come on. Okay. Y'all need to stop going to sites that have ads. And Fox News? Come on, man. You know Fox News is not legit. You should know it anyway. So Trump is bringing Biden associate. That's interesting, though. Interesting. I'm not doing that. We will find some other stories to talk about, though. So give me 1 second while I bring that up. Okay. Whistleblower confirms Biden's corruption. Ooh, that's interesting. Here we go. Hunter Biden's ex-partner. I believe this is the story, and I'm going to get it without an ad, which will be nice. Flips confirms authenticity of emails on corrupt China deal. The source of highly anticipated Wall Street Journal piece corroborating. Is that how you spell corroborating? The New York Post's bombshell report on Hunter Biden's released a statement Wednesday to refute claims that the recovered laptop files had at the heart of the scandal were part of the Russian disinformation campaign. The facts set forth below are true and accurate. They are not any form of domestic or foreign disinformation, says the whistleblower Tony Blinsky. According to Breitbart, any suggestion to the contrary is false and offensive. Democrats, including House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff and their left-wing media and social media allies, have sought to bury the potential campaign, ending revelations with an aggressive censorship and disinformation campaign of their own. In a conference call this week, President Trump hinted that the Wall Street Journal piece would debunk the leftist media efforts to discredit the story. However, the article has been delayed for unknown reasons, likely putting pressure on Trump campaign officials to seek alternate channels prior to Thursday night's debate. Trump is expected to confront Democrat nominee Joe Biden with the allegations about his troubled 50-year-old son. Bobulinski identified himself in a statement as a CEO of Sinhawk Holdings, an apparent shell company used to move funds around as part of a joint venture with Yi Yaming, the former chair of the Chinese energy company CEFC. Excuse me one second. According to another newly disclosed email, Biden's current running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, was one of the several prominent Democrat figures identified as key domestic contacts for Phase 1 targeted projects undertaken by the new venture, Breitbart reported. Wow. Maybe that's why she became VP nominee. After CEFC went bankrupt, however, Yaming was arrested by the Chinese government and has not been heard from since. Ooh, he's been gone. During the preliminary discussion for the CEFC deal, Bobulinski's name surfaced in an email chain discussing remuneration packages. The email's equity sharing proposal included 20% each for Hunter Biden and 3 partners, including Bobulinski, as well as 10% to be held by Hunter for the big guy. All right, so I'm guessing this Joe guy is the one that's going there with them. Let's see. We have another story here with Biden's partner. Let me bring that one up. Trump posts unedited 60 Minutes interview before CBS can edit and air it. Really? President Trump posted his full unedited interview with 60 Minutes on Facebook before the show scheduled a Sunday broadcast? Wow. That's not the link I clicked on, I don't think. That's weird that came up. Okay, so the link said, headline USA, Biden partner confirmed email China, but it comes up with Trump posts the unedited 60 Minutes interview before CBS can air it and edit it. Wow. The footage shows unrelenting, prickly questions and interruptions by CBS anchor Leslie Stahl on a host of topics, including his response to the Rona pandemic, his alleged slipping support among suburban women, the lack of masks at his rallies, and the Obamacare replacement plan he has long promised but failed to unveil. Look at the bias, hatred, and rudeness on behalf of 60 Minutes and CBS, Trump wrote Thursday as he tweeted the Facebook link. Absolutely. We got to go check that out. I don't know if we're going to do that tonight because 60 Minutes, that's probably a long interview. Real Girl, can you find me that on his Facebook? I guess it's on his Facebook page, right? Throughout the interview, Trump challenges Stahl that she and the mainstream media refused to question Democratic nominee Joe Biden with similar aggression after revelations from the laptop and the hard drive of his son Hunter. Facts! Trump accused the media of being too soft on his Democratic rival, which Stahl validated by denying that Biden is under siege over credible evidence that he knew of Hunter's foreign dealings with Ukraine and China and even financially benefited from them. He's in the midst of a big scandal, Trump started. Oh, he is not. Stahl interrupted. Really? As Stahl comments at one point that Trump is offering attack after attack, Trump responds, it's not attack, it's defense. It's defense against attacks. I'm defending myself and I'm defending the Institute of the Presidency, he said. As Trump reminded her that Obama and Biden spied on his campaign and that the Russian collusion charges were fraudulent, Stahl tried to explain this is 60 Minutes and we can't put on things we can't verify. Okay, you can't verify the fact that nothing was found? But Trump continued to criticize the mainstream media. Leslie, you are discrediting yourself, he said. The interview began on a tense footing as Stahl asked the president as the camera started rolling, "Are you ready for some tough questions?" and only grew more testy. At the end of nearly 40 minutes, Trump blamed Stahl for starting the interview badly. "Are you ready for tough questions? That's no way to talk. That's no way to talk. You're so negative," he later commented. Trump eventually cut the interview short and declined to appear with Vice President Mike Pence on what had been planned as a walk and talk segment of the interview. "That's enough. Let's go," he said. CBS News called the White House this decision unprecedented, but said the interview would air Sunday as planned. The White House unprecedented decision to disregard their agreement with CBS News and release their footage. Okay, so they signed an agreement saying they wouldn't do that, and yet they still did. See, there's a reason I like Trump right there. And release their footage will not deter 60 Minutes from providing its full, fair, and contextual reporting, which presidents have participated in for decades, the network said in a statement. Go ahead, but we have the unedited footage, which is great. That is amazing. I love it. All right, let's get back to this real quick.
You're a useless dog.
You're a useless dog? Why? What's going on?
Because supposedly our package got delivered and she didn't bark.
She didn't bark at the mailman? All right, let's see. Unedited 60 Minutes. Okay, Riddle Girl sent me that. Riddle, the Trump info is at 4. I think around election time, looters will kick into action. Bob Bulinski. Oh, okay. You're correcting how I'm saying it. Bob Bulinski. Okay, there we go. I just have to say it a few thousand times and I'll finally get it. I'm still trying to get hydroxychloroquine. Biden should not be running, period. 40, that's where it talk of leak Trump info. Okay, hold on. Let me get this copy. Link location. We'll get this put over here. Okay. And for some reason... Oh, that's an hour and 22 minutes. For some reason, it looks like the other link that I had is not up here. What the hell is it? Okay, it's right here. And let me just get this other thing. Where is it? I have too many windows open right now. Okay, so there's that. And you said it's at 40 minutes? I don't know if we're going to have time for this.
Made this announcement. He said, "We have now proven that the
Both of you take care of
Iranians,
yourselves.
along
Thank
with
you. Little kid size
certain
5.
elements of the Russian government,
Lucky.
have worked together to
Those
break
vests
into
are
our
heavier than they look.
election
they're about
cycle,
10.5 pounds.
and they imitated the Proud Boys, and they sent emails out to a lot of Democrats." And so they say it was the Iranians and the Russians that tapped into some Democrat databases and sent out emails pretending to be the Proud Boys, which said something to the effect of, "Vote for Trump or else." Vote for Trump or else. Well, I think that's pretty messed up if you ask me, because there's a website that I want every one of you watching right now to grab a pad of paper and a pen and take down this website, because very likely, if you're a Trump supporter and you've ever donated to the Trump campaign, you're going to find your name on this list. Now, this was some late breaking news today. Now, I found out about this list about 3 days ago, okay? And the reason I have not done a video since last Saturday, I never finished that train of thought. I got a phone call. I got a text message. Well, these particular people that contact me, they always precede the phone call with a text message. But my phone has a certain sound, and I don't know how they do that, but I always know when they're texting me, and I have a very short time to respond. You know, not, I mean...
Armed Archangel, isn't that the Marine Corps prayer? I'm not exactly sure.
I pay courtesy, and I respond in a timely manner. But usually it's to inform me about some things that, you know, not everybody gets to know about. But I try to present to you as much of that information as I possibly can without violating any of the agreements that I've made, you know, not to say some things about certain things, but you know what I'm saying? Okay, it's all good. But tonight, President Trump was in Gastonia, or last night rather, he was in Gastonia, Virginia, not Virginia, there is a Gastonia, Virginia. He was in Gastonia, North Carolina. He's been spending a lot of time in North Carolina, Florida, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio. These are some key states, Nevada. And, you know, I think it's amazing what he's doing. He's had like 9 rallies in the last 10 days. And I've had the good fortune to be at 2 of them. And, you know, God bless all you good folks that I met at these rallies and that are now watching my YouTube channel. Thanks to, you know, receiving one of my cards or whatever. God bless you. I hope I can deliver, so hang in there. But
tell you what, I need to be a Trump supporter.
This Bevan Cooney is in prison. He was one of Hunter Biden's business partners, and he's serving I don't know how many years, but somehow he got hooked up with Peter Schweitzer. Now, y'all may remember Peter Schweitzer is the author of the now very famous Clinton Cash, and he's written several other books. Well, anyway, Peter Schweitzer, this great investigative journalist author, has hooked up with this Bevan Cooney.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there. I'm going to go over here, and then let me get the email that Riddle Girl just sent me. It is supposedly the full-on, let's see, where is it? Yeah, unedited. And we have the 4-year-old Ronnie Sweeney.
Rowan Sweeney.
Oh, yes, thank you. Who was it that brought that to our attention?
Archangel.
Armed Archangel, right at the end of the chat, like right as I left. Thank you for that. I did not have a chance to put it in my causes I believe in and support, but I will do that. That is messed up. Let's go ahead and add that over here, and you guys can read that somewhat. No, I do not want anything on my sent to me. Thank you. So this is the dude over here. I don't think you guys can see my cursor. For some reason, I must have turned that off. And while you're looking at that, I'm going to go check out the 60-minute things that Riddle Girl sent me. You have, there's 2 links here, Riddle Girl.
One's for Trump and one's for Pence.
They interviewed them both?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And actually, you guys aren't going to be able to read it very long. Here we go. Let's close that. Close that. Close that. Oh my goodness, close that.
You're going to get fairness, but you're okay with some tough questions.
No, I'm not.
You're not okay with tough
Well,
questions.
to be fair, you don't ask Biden tough questions.
Me?
Huh?
I don't even.
It's terrible.
I
It's
only
terrible.
review.
You know that. Okay, are you ready?
Everybody ready?
We're up.
Okay. Can I start?
Let's go 1 second. Plus the door higher up a lift, just a little drop.
All right. Well, we're not going to watch all that because the debate is about to start. Riddle Girl, if you could drop those links into the chat as well. That way people that are watching could go ahead and click on that if they want to later on. A 4-year-old Ohio boy is dead after a mass shooting that left multiple people seriously injured, and young Rowan Sweeney tragically dying in his mother's arms. According to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, police said the shooting occurred around 2 a.m. Monday at home in Struthers, Ohio. According to witness statements, a young, light-skinned black male walked into the home and opened fire. This is why we lock our doors. None of the people in the home knew the suspected gunman. Southerners Police Chief Tim Rodney said Rowan Sweeney died tragically in his mother's arms. Sweeney's mother, Alexis Schneider, 22, and friends of the family, Cassandra and Yarnell and Andre, were also seriously injured and transported to the area hospital for treatment. This guy came in really with, oh my goodness. It's not clear what promoted the shooting. However, it was announced on Tuesday that the 24-year-old Kimon Bryant turned himself into authorities on Monday evening in connection with the mass shooting and Rowan Sweeney's death. According to CBS affiliate, Bryant was taken into custody in downtown Youngstown on aggravated murder charges and is currently being held in county jail without bond. Well, at least he's being held. Rodney credited the arrest to the work and collaboration between local, state, and federal authorities. Didn't he just turn himself in? I don't mean to make light, but at the same time, you can't take credit for doing a great job when the person turns themselves... I don't know, understand that. That's fine, whatever. Let's move on. Prior to Bryant surrendering, Rowan Sweeney's father had begged the gunman to turn himself into the police, calling the suspect sick for perpetrating a mass shooting. You're a sick dude. You're sick. You took my son from me. You can live with that for the rest of your life, David Sweeney said through sobs in an emotional press conference. Rowan was the sweetest boy. Rowan was the best. He was so young. He didn't deserve any of this. Buddy, I'm so sorry for you, buddy. I love you. During the press conference, Rodney also stressed that the mass shooting that killed Rowan Sweeney was a targeted attack, although he did not reveal an exact motive. Neighbors reported hearing around 5 to 8 gunshots before the suspect ran out. So, yeah, they don't have a reason. However, the father says it was a targeted attack. So, I would like to know more of the motive, obviously. But, yeah, that's disgusting. That's absolutely disgusting. All right. How are we doing on time? Looks like we are live. Starts in 24 minutes. Let's actually go live. Are we ready? Oh, starts in 4 minutes and 22 seconds. I do have a timer ready, so we can do the countdown clock at 2 minutes. Although apparently it's been reported that they might mute him if he brings up the whole laptop issue. That's at least what you guys are talking about in the chat. Let me go ahead and bring up the chat so I can see a little bit. This is the Marine Rifleman's Prayer. Thank you. I did think it was the Marine Prayer of some sort. This is going to be a joke with this moderator. Going to be lowball questions at best. Down to 5 minutes. Negative Shooter's Prayer. Okay. I said Marine's prayer, but it's Marine Rifleman's Prayer. I didn't know there was a difference. I mean, I guess, you're going to have, like, different skill sets, I guess. I didn't even think about that. For me, a Marine is a Marine. But I gotcha. Ever careless, be of life or limb or liberty for justice' sake, a quiet heart and grace and strength to do my part to God and country, home and core, let me be faithful evermore. That must be the actual Marine one, right? Unedited 60 minutes interviews. Thank you, Rudigo, for sharing that. And the 4-year-old Rowan Sweeney link as well. Now, do they have a GoFundMe page set up, Armed Archangel? If so, you should definitely find out about that. For some reason, I have the stats from Nerds open. Let's go ahead and just full screen that. We'll just talk here for a minute. Tomato. There you go. I like it, though. It's tomato. But I know what you're saying. Yeah. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be something. I am really impressed. Oh, and by the way, the other guy that we were watching that you gave me the link for, he's got what, 43,000 subs? I don't know. I'm not subscribed to him. Tell me a little bit about him in the chat. What did he start off as? Is he just known for being a Trump supporter? Because I'll tell you what, you want to get a lot of subs on YouTube, either be a Trump supporter or a Trump basher. If you're in the middle and you don't support or bash, I mean, look, I get maybe an average of 100 views per video that I do. I get maybe an average of 15 to 20 people in the, actually, I wouldn't even say it's an average. On a good night chat, I get about 20 people in the chat, all right? And then when I, later on, after a couple days or whatever, at most, the video gets right around 100, 110, 120 views. Now, if I came out to be a total Trump supporter, just had Trump merchandise everywhere, wore the hat, had the flags, came out, I bet you I'd be doing better. I bet you I'd be doing better. Because people want to play that game of rah, 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 my team, your team, you know. Oh, here we go. Should be starting any time now. I'm surprised that they didn't get rid of her. She is so biased. Well, I guess it's not ready yet. Let's see. Irish. All Marines are riflemen first. Are they? Okay. He's a jarhead too. Retired as well. I figured as much. Hey, man. Having Marines in my chat, that counts for at least 10 extra people. So I appreciate it, man. I never thought in my life would I have Marines like following what I do around. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool. Irish is a really good friend of mine, though. Irish put out a whole bunch of videos recently on his Patreon page about Jeep stuff. I didn't watch them all because I've been really busy. But you had some tips and tricks on different things you can do to your Jeep and maybe repairs, I'm guessing, right? I don't think that really counts for the Jeep that we own. We own a 2008, I think, Jeep Compass, which is definitely, it's like pretty much not a Jeep. It's just, it's got the Jeep logo on it, and that's about it. But it was very interesting. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff or other really cool Marine kind of things, go check out Irish
University
USMC vet.
in Nashville, Tennessee.
There we go.
I'm Kristen Welker.
And check out his Patreon page,
and I
too.
welcome you to the final
only $1 a month.
2020 presidential debate between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Tonight's debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Commission's health security advisor. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, boos, or other interruptions, except right now, as we welcome to the stage former Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump.
Well, at least she said his whole name. So they're just standing apart. Where's the glass that separated Pence and Camilla? He's scheduled for YouTube
And I do want to
Monday,
say a very
Wednesday,
good
Friday.
evening
Okay, good.
to both of you. This debate will
What
cover
part of
6
Tennessee are you
major
looking at, Irish?
topics.
No,
at the
east,
beginning of each
Tennessee.
section, each candidate will have 2 minutes
Patreon
uninterrupted
gets-
to answer my first question.
All right.
The debate commission will then turn on their microphone only when it is their turn to answer, and the commission will turn it off exactly when the 2 minutes have expired. After that, both
If they don't have the
microphones
clock
will
up, I
remain
will.
on. But on behalf of the voters, I'm going to ask you to please speak one at a time. The goal is for you to hear each other and for the American people to hear every word of what you both have to say. And so with that, if you're ready, let's start. And we will begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, the first question is for you. The country is heading into a dangerous new phase. More than 40,000
Why are we talking about the
Americans
Rona
are in the
again?
hospital tonight with COVID,
We talked about it in the first
including
debate.
record numbers
I hope he
here
goes
in
totally off
Tennessee.
script and
since
just
the
talks
two of
about
you
what he wants to
last
talk
shared
about.
a stage, 16,000 Americans have died from
You're
COVID.
disappointed, no glass?
So please be specific. How would you lead the country during this next stage of the coronavirus crisis? 2 minutes, uninterrupted.
Here we go.
So, as you know, 2.2 million people modeled out were expected
He
to
should
die.
be talking about
We
what he wants
closed
to
up
talk about.
the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China. It's a worldwide pandemic. It's all over the world. You see the spikes in Europe and many other places right
Jeopardy
now.
sound.
If you
I
notice,
could do
the
that.
mortality rate is down 85%. The excess mortality rate is way down and much lower than almost any other country. And we're fighting it, and we're fighting it hard. There is a spike. There was a spike in Florida, and it's now gone. There was a very big spike in Texas. It's now gone.
Bring
There
up
was
the
a very big
CDC
spike in
survival rate.
Arizona. It's now gone. And there are some spikes and surges in other places. They will soon be gone. We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be delivered. We have Operation Warp Speed, which is the military is going to distribute the vaccine. I can tell you from personal experience that I was in the hospital, I had it, and I got better, and I will tell you that I
He
had
stayed in there over a
something
weekend.
that they gave me, a therapeutic, I guess they would call it. Some people could say it was a cure, but I was in for a short period of time, and I got better very fast, or I wouldn't be here tonight. And now they say I'm immune, whether it's 4 months or a lifetime.
Think he
nobody's
should be
been able to say that.
going
but
off script.
I'm immune. More and more people are getting better. We have a problem that's a worldwide problem. This is a worldwide problem. But I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do. If you take a look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything else, and in particular ventilators, we're now making ventilators all over the world, thousands and thousands a month, distributing them all over the world. It will go away, and as I say, we're rounding the turn, we're rounding the corner. It's going away.
Okay.
Hey,
Former Vice
that was
President
pretty well
Biden, to
timed.
you, how would you lead the country out of this crisis? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
220,000 Americans dead. If you hear nothing else I say tonight, hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially, anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America. We're in a situation where there are 1,000 deaths a day now, 1,000 deaths a day, and there are over 70,000 new cases per day. Compared to what's going on in Europe, as the New England Medical Journal said, they're starting from a very low rate. We're starting from a very high rate. The expectation is we'll have another 200,000 Americans dead between now and the end of the year. If we just wore these masks, the president's own advisors have told him, we could save 100,000 lives. And we're in a circumstance where the president thus far and still
he really needs to bring up the CDC's numbers on what masks actually do.
What I would do is make sure we have everyone encouraged to wear a mask all the time. I would make sure we move in the direction of rapid testing, investing in rapid testing. I would make sure that we set up national standards as to how to open up schools and open up businesses so they can be safe and give them the wherewithal, the financial resources.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one,
Archangel.
That's right.
We're in a situation now where the New England Medical Journal, one of the most serious journals in the whole world, said for the first time ever that the way this president has responded to this crisis has been absolutely tragic. And so, folks, I will take care of this. I will end this. I will make sure we have a plan.
President Trump, I'd like to follow up with you in your comments. You talked about taking a therapeutic. I assume you're referencing Regeneron. You also said a vaccine will be coming within weeks.
Yes.
Is that a guarantee?
No, it's not a guarantee, but it will be by the end of the year. But I think it has a good chance. There are 2 companies, I think, within a matter of weeks, and it will be distributed very quickly.
Can you tell us which companies?
Johnson & Johnson is doing very well. Moderna is doing very well. Pfizer is doing very well. And we have numerous others. Then we also have others that we're working on very closely with other countries, in particular Europe.
Let me follow up with you, and because this is new information, you have said a vaccine is coming soon, within weeks now. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your timeline realistic?
Nope. No, I think my timeline is going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up, one in particular that's the head of logistics, and this is a very easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine, and we expect to have 100 million vials. As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready to go.
Vice President Biden, your reaction, and just 40% of Americans say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was approved by the government. What steps would you take to give Americans confidence?
We have people who actually want the vaccination say they won't do it right away.
Make sure it's totally transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter.
As I said, low ball questions to Biden, a joke. Yeah,
and he has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's going to be a vaccine available for the majority of the American people before the middle of next year.
President Trump, your reaction, he says you have no
I don't think we're
plan.
going to have a dark winter at all. We're opening up our country. We've learned and studied and understand the disease, which we didn't at the beginning. When I closed and banned China from coming in heavily infected, and then ultimately Europe, but China was in January. Months later, he was saying I was xenophobic. I did it too soon. Now he's saying, oh, I should have, moved quicker. But he didn't move quicker. He was
With
months
Biden,
behind
if you
me.
come out
Many
of
months
house
behind me.
without mask,
And frankly,
$100 fine.
he ran the
Can you imagine that?
H1N1 swine flu, and it was a total disaster, far less lethal.
Death in Brazil caused by
it was a
Rona
total
vaccine,
disaster.
and you got a
Had
link
that
right on.
had
Thank you
this
for that.
kind
I
of
will copy
numbers, 700,000 people would be dead right now, but it was a far less lethal disease. Look, his own person who ran that for him, who, as you know, was his chief of staff, said it was catastrophic, it was horrible, we didn't know what we were doing. Now he comes up and he tells us how to do this. Also, everything that he said about the way every single move that he said we should make, that's what we've done. We've done all of it. But he was way behind us.
Vice President Biden, your response.
My response is he is xenophobic, but not because he shut down access from China. And he did it late after 40 countries had already done that. In addition to that, what he did, he made sure that we had 44 people that were in there in China trying to get to Wuhan to determine what exactly the source was. What did the president say in January? He said, no, he said, he's being transparent. The president of China is being transparent. We owe him a debt of gratitude. We have to thank him. And then what happened was we started talking about using
Biden
the
wants
Defense
this to
Act
last
to
till
make sure we go out and get
2023.
whatever
It's
is
all about the
needed
money.
out there to protect people. And again,
It's also
I
about
go back to
control.
this.
You get
He had
people
nothing.
to
He
be
did
that
virtually
fearful.
nothing. And
You can get
then
them
he
to
gets
do
out of
whatever.
the hospital and he
Buy
talks about
more vaccines.
Don't worry, it's all going to be over soon. Come on. There's not another serious scientist in the world who thinks it's going to be over soon.
President Trump, your reaction?
I say over soon. I say we're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like
the cure
Joe
can't be
does.
worse than the disease.
He has the ability to lock himself up. I don't know. He's obviously made a lot of money someplace.
Oh,
he has this thing about living in a basement.
where I
People
need a
can't do
bell
that.
or
By the way,
something.
I,
That
as
was
the
a
president,
ring.
couldn't
Oh, that
do
was a
I'd
good
love
one.
to put
That was a
myself in a
zinger.
basement or in a beautiful room in the White House and go away for a year and a half until it disappears. I can't do that. And Kirsten, every meeting I had, and I'd meet
Still
a lot
trying
of
to find
families,
the puppet
including
strings
Gold
holding
Star
these 2 men
families
up.
and military families. Every
Yes,
meeting
many
I
more
had,
people
and I
died
had
of
to meet
H1N1,
them.
and
I had
I
to.
saw
It would
more
be
people
horrible
die.
to have canceled everything.
Money,
I
power,
said,
control.
this is dangerous, and you catch it. And I caught it. I learned a lot. Great doctors, great hospitals, and now I recovered. 99.9 of young people recover. 99% of people recover. We have to
more
recover.
than that,
We can't
according to
close up our
CDC.
nation. We have to open our school, and we can't close up our nation, or you're not going to have a nation.
And of course, the CDC has said young people can get sick with COVID-19 and can pass it. Vice President Biden, I want to talk broadly about strategy.
Did she just fact-check the president?
Respond to that.
30 seconds, please, and then
30
I have a
seconds.
question.
No, number one, he says that we're learning to live with it.
30 seconds.
People are learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was, is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it because he has never said, you said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now? What should they do about the danger? And you say, I take no responsibility.
Let me talk about your two.
Excuse me, I
very quickly.
take full responsibility. It's not my fault that it came here. It's China's fault. And you know what? It's not Joe's fault that it came here either. It's China's fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part, but they didn't keep it from coming out to the world, including Europe and ourselves.
It was a good one, and let's see what Joe has
The
to
fact
say.
is that when we knew it was coming, when it hit, what happened? What did the president say? He said, don't worry, it's going to go away. Be gone by Easter. Don't worry, the warm weather. Don't worry, maybe inject bleach. He said he was kidding when he said that, but a lot of people thought it was serious. A whole range of things the president has said.
Nobody thought that
Even
was
today,
serious.
he thinks we are in control.
Come
We're
on,
about
man.
to lose 200,000 more people.
Trump is not
President Trump.
interrupting very much.
Perhaps just to finish this, I was kidding on that, but just to finish this, when I closed, He said, I shouldn't have
I
closed.
loved his hand movements.
And that
man.
went on for months. Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing on the streets in Chinatown in San Francisco. But when I closed, he said, this is a terrible thing. You're xenophobic. I think he called me racist even. And because I was closing it to China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier. It just, Joe, it doesn't work.
I didn't say either of those things.
You
I didn't say
certainly
should have
did.
called
It's
it
on
racist.
video, Joe.
I talked about his xenophobia in a different context. It wasn't about closing the border to Chinese
Oh my goodness.
coming to the
The
United States.
All right, I
lies.
want to talk about both of your different strategies to handling
He thought
this.
I shouldn't have closed the border.
Well,
That's obvious.
Do you want to respond to that quickly, Vice President
No.
Biden? Okay. Let's talk about your different
Let's have Biden have
strategies
the
to
last
dealing
word no
with
matter
this.
what.
Mr. Vice
right?
President, you suggested you would support new shutdowns if scientists recommended it. What do you say to Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and
So is this
substance
another
abuse
2 minutes
outweighs the
uninterrupted, I
risk
wonder?
of exposure to the virus?
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. It's
Ah.
his ineptitude that caused,
you gonna do that?
caused the country to have to shut down
Tell me
in
how.
large part. Why businesses have gone under, why schools are closed, why so many people
Mandatory
have
masks.
lost their living, and why they're concerned. Those other concerns are real. That's why
Joe told
he should have been,
everyone
instead
of
of in a
it's
sand
okay
trap at a
and
golf
Trump
course, he should have
closed
been
the country.
negotiating with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats and Republicans about what to do about the acts they were passing for billions of dollars to make sure people had the capacity.
But you haven't ruled out more shutdowns.
That's an
No,
interruption.
I'm not shutting down the name, but there are, look, you need standards. The standard is if you have a reproduction rate in a community that's above a certain level, everybody says, slow up, more social distancing, do not open bars and do not open gymnasiums, do not open until you get this under control, under more control. But when you do open,
More
give the people
control.
the
Isn't
capacity
that-
to be able to
isn't
open
that
and have the
true?
capacity to do it safely. For example, schools. Schools, they need a lot of money to open. They need to deal with ventilation systems. They need to deal with smaller classes, more teachers, more pods. And he's refused to support that money, or at least up to now.
Let's talk about schools. President
Well,
Trump,
I think we have to respond, if I might.
please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Look, all he does is talk about shutdowns, but forget about him. His Democrat governors, Cuomo in New York, you look at what's going on in California, you look at Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Democrats all, they're shut down so tight, and they're dying. They're dying. And he supports all these people. All he talks about is shutdowns.
Reproduction
No,
rate?
we're not going to shut down, and we have to open our schools. And it's like, as an example, I have a young son. He also tested positive. By the time I spoke to the doctor the second time, he was fine. It just went away. Young people, I guess it's their immune system.
Let me follow up with you, President Trump. You've demanded schools open in person and insist they can do it safely. But just yesterday, Boston became the latest city to
Here we
move its
go.
public school system entirely online after a coronavirus spike. What is your message to parents who worry that sending their children
Do
to
what you
school
want to
will
do with your
endanger not
kids,
only
man.
their
You don't
kids,
want to
but
take
also
your
their
kids to
teachers
school,
and
then
families?
don't.
I want to open the schools. The transmittal rate to the teachers is very small, but I want to open the schools. We have to open our country. We're not going to have a country. You can't do this. We can't keep this country closed. This is a massive
He's not wrong
country
about
with a
that.
massive economy. People are losing their jobs. They're
If you
committing
look at
suicide.
their list
There's
of who
depression,
should get the vaccine
alcohol,
first,
drugs
they
at a
list
level
people
that
of
nobody's
color
ever
as
seen before.
natives and
There's
as
abuse,
high risk.
tremendous abuse. We have to open our country. You know, I've said it often. The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself.
Vice
And that's
President.
what's happening. And he wants to close down. He'll close down the country if one person in our massive bureaucracy says we should close it down.
Vice President Biden, your
Simply
response.
not true. We ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We ought to be able to safely open, but would they need resources to open? You need to be able to, for example, if you're going to open a business, have social distancing within the business. You need to have, if you have a restaurant, you need to have plexiglass dividers so people cannot infect one another. You need to be in a position where you can take testing rapidly and know whether a person is in fact infected. You need to be able to trace. You need to be able to provide all the resources that are needed to do this. And that is not
It's funny, every
inconsistent
medical
with
group out there said
saying
it's
that
safe for the kids to go to
what
school.
we're going to make sure that we open safely. And by the way, all you teachers out there,
That's true.
not that many of you are going to die, so don't
Now,
worry
one
about
person
it.
is talking about
So
the
don't worry
UV
about it.
lights that
Come
kill the
on.
Rona.
President Trump, let me follow up with you quickly.
By the way, I
on-
will say this. If you go and look at what's happened to New York, it's a ghost town. It's a ghost
The
town.
deaths in
And
New
when you
York
talk
aren't
about
necessarily from the
plexiglass,
Rona.
these are
Yeah, they're
restaurants
listed
that
as
are
Rona
dying.
deaths, but a
These
lot
are
of them
businesses with no money.
aren't actually dying of
Putting the
Rona. They die of
plexiglass is
something else and
unbelievably
test
expensive,
positive for
and
it.
it's not the answer. I mean, you're going to sit there in a cubicle wrapped around with plastic. These are businesses that are dying, Joe. You can't do that to people. You just can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for so many years. I loved it. It was vibrant. It's dying. Everyone's leaving New York.
Take a look at what New York has done in terms of turning the curve down in terms of the number of people dying. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does.
What about
Blue states
healthcare
and red states.
professionals?
They're all
Would
the
they get it
United
first,
States.
probably?
And look at the states that are
The
having
air will
such
kill
a
you.
spike
Say it, Joe.
in
Trace
coronavirus.
me,
They're the
track
red
me.
states. They're the states in the Midwest. They're the states in the upper Midwest. That's where the spike is
for
occurring
something you have to
significantly.
be tested
but
for
they're
to know
all
if you have it.
Americans. They're all
I did
Americans.
on my
And
chats.
what we have to do is say, wear these masks, number one. Make sure we get the help that the businesses
The mask
need.
will save you.
Money's already been passed to do that. It's been out there since the beginning of the summer, and nothing's happened.
President, New York has lost more than 40,000 people, 11,000 people in nursing homes.
President Trump, what
when
about...
you say spike, take a look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, where they've had it closed. Take a look at what's happening with your friend in Michigan, where her husband's the only one allowed to do anything. It's been like a prison. Now it was just ruled unconstitutional. Take a look at North Carolina.
Can't
They're
shut
having
down over
spikes,
this.
and they've been closed, and they're getting killed financially. We can't let that happen, Joe. You can't let that happen. We have to open up. And we understand the disease.
He should
we
bring
have
up
to
it's
protect our seniors. We have to
constitutionally
protect
that
our
you have the
elderly.
right
we
to
have
assemble.
to protect especially our seniors with heart problems and diabetes problems, and we will protect them. We have the best testing in the world by far. That's why we have so many cases.
Let me follow up with you before we move on to our next section. President Trump,
don't get
this
onto
week you
that.
called Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's best-known infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If you're not listening to
Joe
them,
needs
who
to
are you
watch
listening
my
to?
morning
Right
mustard.
there.
I'm listening to all of them, including Anthony. I
Yeah,
get
but
on
nobody
very well with
watches
Anthony, but
old streams, bro.
He did
It's
say,
very rare.
don't wear masks. He did say,
Stream
as
after
you know,
a day or two
this is not
just
going
does
to be
not
a
get any more
problem.
traffic. Ask
I
me
think
how
he's
I
a
know.
Democrat, but that's okay. He said this is not going to be a problem. We are not
I'm
going
going
to
to
have a
stop
problem
wearing
at
my
all.
dang
When Joe
mask
says that
anymore. It does
I
not
said,
work. It doesn't.
Anthony Fauci said, and others, and
Joe's
many
part of the
others, and I'm
Great
not
Reset
knocking him a
agenda.
lot. Nobody knew. Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to wear masks.
There you go.
Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
My response is that think about what the president knew in January and didn't tell the American people. He was told this was a serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than
If it spreads in the air, that mask
flu.
ain't going to work.
He went on record and said to
Or
one
that
of your
plexiglass.
colleagues, recorded, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because he didn't want us to panic. He didn't want us. Americans don't panic. He panicked. But guess what? In the
Americans
meantime, we
don't
found out in
panic.
the New York Times the other day
Joe
that, in
got
fact,
jokes.
his folks went to Wall Street and said this is a really dangerous thing. And a memo out of that meeting, not from his administration, but from some of the brokers, said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going to give you 30 seconds to respond, and then we're
the
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one,
on.
I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it.
I have.
You have raised a lot of money.
We got to get a
tremendous amounts of money.
hype button
And
or a
every time
bell
you
or
raise
some
money,
sort
deals
of
are made.
noise-making
I could
machine.
raise so much more money. As president and as somebody that knows most of those people, I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me. I could blow away your records that like you wouldn't believe. We don't need money. We have plenty of money. In fact, we beat Hillary Clinton with a tiny fraction of the money that she was able
All right, gentlemen, we're going to move on.
Don't tell me about Wall
Average
Street.
contribution, $43.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start with the security of our elections and some breaking news from overnight. Just last night, top intelligence officials confirmed again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both countries have obtained U.S. voter registration information, these officials say, and Iran sent intimidating messages to Florida voters. This question goes to you, Mr. Vice President. What would you do to put an end to this threat? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I made it clear, and I ask everyone else to take the pledge. I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. They will pay a price. And it's been overwhelmingly clear this election, I won't even get into the last one, this election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will pay a price if I'm elected. They're interfering with American sovereignty. That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with American sovereignty. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the president said anything to Putin about it. I don't think he's stalking them a lot. I don't think he said a word. I don't know why he hadn't said a word about it. And I don't know what he has recently said, if anything, to the Iranians. My guess is he'd probably be more outspoken with regard to the Iranians. But the point is this, folks. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with
coronavirus toilet paper, it was a program where
his buddy Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian,
sideways it
that
goes,
is not
and
true.
It's already over
and
the
then
cliff.
What happens? Nothing happens.
They'll
and then
pay
you find
him
out
and
that
his son.
Everything is going on here.
The mailman gave you a wide berth?
Sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know
send my stimulus
me.
check and
I don't
keep
understand
calm.
why
Keep
this
calm.
president is unwilling to take on Putin when he's actually paying bounties to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan, when he's engaged in activities that are trying to destabilize all of NATO. I don't know why he doesn't do it, but it's worth asking the question. Why isn't that being done? Any country that interferes with us will, in fact, pay a price because they're affecting our sovereignty.
President Trump, same question to you. Let me ask the question. You're going to have 2 minutes to respond. For 2 elections in a row now, there has been substantial interference from foreign adversaries. What would you do in your next term to put an end to this? 2 minutes
that pays you, Joe.
Respond to the first part,
buy more
as
razor wire.
Joe answered. Joe got $3.5 million from Russia, and it came through Putin because he was very friendly with the former mayor of Moscow, and it was the mayor of Moscow's wife. And you got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million, and you know, someday you're going to have to explain, why did you get 3.5? I never got any money from Russia. I don't get money from Russia. Now, about your thing last night, I knew all about that. And through John Ratcliffe, who is fantastic, DNI, he said, the one thing that's common to both of them, they both want you to lose, because there has been nobody tougher to Russia. Between the sanctions, nobody tougher than me on Russia. Between the sanctions, between all of what I've done with NATO, you know, I've got the NATO countries to put up an extra $130 billion, going to $420 billion a year. That's to guard against Russia. I sold, while he was selling pillows and sheets, I sold tank busters to Ukraine. There has been nobody tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, they were so bad. They took over the submarine port. You remember that very well. During your term, during you and Barack Obama, they took over a big part of what should have been Ukraine. You handed it to them, but you were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying you a lot of money, and they probably still are. But now, with what came out today, it's even worse. All of the emails, the horrible emails of the kind of money that you were raking in, you and your family. And Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening, and it should have never happened. And I think you owe an explanation to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family, but what he said was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
Vice President Biden, you may respond. 30 seconds. And then I do want to follow up on the election security.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I have not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever. Number one. Number two, This is a president. I have released all of my tax returns. 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot. And your hotels and all your businesses all around the country, all around the world. And China's building a new road to a new a golf course you have overseas. So what's going on here? Why don't release your tax return or stop talking about corruption?
President Trump, your response.
First of all, I called my accountants under audit. I'm going to release them as soon as we can. I want to do it, and it'll show how successful, how great this company is. But much more importantly than that, people were saying $750. I asked them a week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. I prepaid my tax. Tens over the last number of years. Tens of millions of dollars I prepaid because at some point they think it's an estimate. They think I may have to pay tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your accountant
Nobody
tell
told
when
you that.
released
Excuse
them?
me. And it wasn't written whenever they write this. They keep talking about $750, which I think is a filing fee. But let me just tell you, I prepaid millions and millions of dollars in taxes. Number one. Number two, I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe, and your son gave you. They even have a statement that we have to give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know. Maybe you're not, but you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man. Joe, what's that all about? It's terrible.
All right, gentlemen, I want to ask you both some questions about all of this, but I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You just said you spoke to your accountant about potentially releasing your taxes. Did he tell you when you can release it? Do you have a deadline for when you're going to release it to the American people?
I get treated worse than the Tea Party got treated. Because I have a lot of people in there, deep down in the IRS, they treat me horribly. We made a deal, it was all settled until I decide to run for president. I get treated very badly by the IRS, very unfairly. But we had a deal all done. As soon as we're completed with the deal, I want to release it. But I have paid millions and millions of dollars, and it's worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called prepaying your taxes. Okay. I paid in advance.
I want to ask you both about questions regarding your potential foreign entanglements and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance.
Let's get to the foreign
talk about
stuff.
this more broadly. Respond very quickly, and then I'll get to my question.
Why did he's been saying this for 4 years? Show us.
What?
Just show us. Stop playing around.
Oh,
You've been saying for 4 years you're going to release your taxes. Nobody knows it, Mr. President. What they do
I agree with Joe on that.
Is you're not paying your taxes, or you're paying taxes that are so low. When last time he said what he paid, he said,
I'm okay with
I
people
only
not
pay
paying
that little
taxes.
because I'm smart. I know how to game the system. Come on, folks.
So
he's trying not to say
I want to get to two questions to both of you.
He's correct. He got from
I
his son.
was put through a phony witch hunt
with Biden.
for 3 years.
There you go.
It started before I even got elected. They spied on my campaign. No president should ever have to go through what I went through. Let me just say this. Mueller and 18 angry Democrats and FBI agents all over the place spent $48 million. They went through everything I had, including my tax returns, and they found absolutely no collusion and nothing wrong. $48 million. I guarantee you, if I spent $1 million on you, Joe, I could find plenty wrong. Because the kind of things that you've done and the kind
Come
of
on, we need to
monies
get a
that
bell
your
in
family
here
has
or
taken.
something.
I mean, your brother made money in Iraq. Millions of dollars. Your other brother made a fortune. And it's all through you, Joe. And they say you get some of it. And you do live very well. You have houses all over the place. You live very well.
All right, gentlemen, let me just ask some questions about all of this broadly. Vice President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for a Ukrainian energy company when you were vice president. In retrospect, was anything
it's all
about
coming
those
out now, isn't it,
relationships
Joe?
inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal. With
Tell us
regard to
another
Ukraine,
lie.
we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably. I carried out U.S. policy.
That's not the same.
Not one single solitary thing was out of line. Not a single thing, number one. Number
the
two,
investigation of
the
Trump?
guy who got in trouble in Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me, which they would not do and did not do because it never,
After tomorrow
ever,
hearing
ever
the
happened.
letter,
My son has not made
after tomorrow
money
hearing with the
in
elk,
terms
he
of this
testified
thing
Joe's
about,
going to look.
what are you talking
Biden's
about?
brother was a
China.
billion-dollar
I have not
builder.
had it. The only guy who made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
You've made a lot of money
President
from
Trump,
China.
let me
By the
ask
way,
my question to you.
But
and
could
then
I just,
you'll-
one thing?
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the
perverts
military
lips nervous.
service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to this. 183, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
Wow.
And he had no energy.
I'm going to let the Vice President
That's
respond to that
experience
quickly, and then I need to
whatsoever.
get to a question to you. Very
No
quickly.
Yeah,
basis
that's
for
not-
that. Everybody investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
Okay,
Okay,
so
President
what's
Trump,
his
this is for you.
experience
Since
then?
you took office, you've never divested from your business. You've personally promoted your properties abroad.
are we,
A
the
report
American
this
people,
week,
idiots,
which was
or,
referenced,
the
does
laptop
indicate
show
that
up?
your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters know that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're
He
all
goes against
listed,
China.
and they're all over the place.
It's all over
I was a businessman
MSNBC.
doing business. The bank account you're referring to, which is everybody knows about it, it's listed. The bank account was in 2013. That's when it was. It was opened it was closed in 2015, I believe. And then I decided, because I was thinking about doing a deal in China like millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it. I decided not to do it. Had an account open, and I closed it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him, where he's vice president and he does business, I then decided to run for president
So it
after
looks
that.
like he
That
wants
was
to
before.
throw
So I
in the
closed
shoe
it
at Trump.
before I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference.
It's gonna be hard to keep all them lies
The vice president
straight,
of
Joe.
the United States, and his son, his brother, and his other brother are getting rich. They're like a vacuum cleaner. They're sucking
Okay,
up money every
President Trump,
place you
thank
go.
you. We do
not
need to
true.
move on. I do want to ask
Totally
you,
true.
Vice President Biden, about China. Let's talk about China more broadly. There have, of course, President Trump has said that they should pay for not being fully transparent in regards to the coronavirus. If you were president, would you make China pay? And please be specific. What would that look like?
What I'd make China do is play by the international rules, not like he has done. He has caused the deficit of China to go up, not down, with China, up, not down. We are making sure that in order to
I
do
have some
business in
investment
China,
in
you
China.
have to give all your
I have
intellectual
a,
property. You have to have
silver
a partner
panda.
in China. It's 51%. We would not do that at all, number one. Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to play by the rules internationally as well. When I met with Xi, when I was still vice president, he said we're setting up air identification zones.
You're geared up?
In the South
Nice.
China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said, we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52, B-1 bombers through it. We're not going to pay attention. They have to play by the rules. And what's he do? He embraces guys like the thugs like in North Korea and the Chinese president and Putin and
Game was
others.
good tonight.
And he pokes
Yeah.
his finger in the eye of all of our friends, all of our allies. We make up we're 25% of the world's economy. We need to be having the rest of our friends with us saying to China, these are the rules. You play by them or you're going to pay the price for not paying by them economically. That's the way I will run it, and that's what we did.
Broken Patriot, get those lights up. Yes, if you're enjoying the stream, please do leave
All
a
right,
like.
let's talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, no, I have to
Yes.
respond to that.
15-minute
Okay.
recap, please.
Very quickly, and then
His
we're gonna
son
move on
Joe
to
with
North
$1.5 billion
Korea.
from China.
Yeah,
to
we've had a couple
after
of
spending
good
10
ones.
minutes
They
in office and being
even
in
brought up
Air Force Two.
Joe's
Number
son
one.
Hunter
Number two,
and the laptop
there's
a little
very
bit.
strong
We
email
definitely had some good moments.
talking about your family wanting to make $10 million a year for introductions.
President Trump, on China policy, though, what
No, but wait a
specifically are
minute.
you going to do? What specifically are you going to do to make China pay? You've said you're going
First
to
of
make
all,
them pay.
China is paying. They're paying billions and billions
Yeah.
of dollars. I just gave
New
$28 billion.
sanctions? New sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers. because
Taxpayers'
China,
money.
It's what?
Taxpayers' money. Didn't
No,
come
no,
from
yeah,
China.
you know who the taxpayer is? It's called China. China paid $28 billion, and you know what they did to pay it, Joe? They devalued their currency, and they also paid up. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our great farmers, because they were targeted. You never charged them anything. Also, I charged them 25% on dumped steel because they were killing our steel industry. We were not going to have a steel industry.
Okay.
And now we have a steel industry.
Vice President Biden, your
China
response,
made
please.
islands and
response
told
is,
everyone to back
This
off.
isn't about, there's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it.
Malarkey? You just said a word that
it's not about
90% of young people won't even know what it is.
It's about your family. And your family's hurting badly. If you're making less than, if you're a middle-class family, you're getting hurt badly right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires, they're bald because we have to wait another month or so.
I'm doing all right.
Or are we going to be able to pay
Yeah,
the
I'm broke
mortgage?
right
Who's
now.
going to tell her she can't go back to community college? They're the decisions you're making in the middle-class families like I grew up in Scranton and Claymont. They're in trouble. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want to
typical
talk about
statement.
North Korea.
Excuse me, just
I do
for
want
1
to turn
second,
to
please.
10 seconds, Mr. President.
That's
10
a
seconds.
typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about
I'm
North
not a typical
Korea now.
politician.
Okay,
That's why I got elected.
I like that.
Let's get off the subject of China. Let's talk
Yes,
around
we're
sitting
targeted
around
by
the table.
Monsanto.
Come on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk about North Korea now. President Trump, you've met
He
with
went
North
all
Korean
out.
leader Kim Jong-un 3 times.
Leave it to the
You've talked
beaver.
about your beautiful letters with him. You've touted the fact that there hasn't been a war or a long-range missile
Yeah.
test. And yet North Korea recently rolled out its biggest ever intercontinental ballistic missile and continues to develop its nuclear arsenal.
That's a
Do
pretty
you
good
see that
question.
as a betrayal of the relationship
chicken
you
and the
forged?
farmers,
Just
this
30
is
seconds here
known
because we need to get on to the
during
next
So
Obama, you
when I met
attacked
with
the poor
Barack
and honest workers.
Obama, we sat
Bottoms
in the White
up.
House.
He dropped
right
the
at the
M-bomb.
beginning, had a great conversation. It was supposed to be 15
Monsanto's?
minutes, and it was well over an hour. He said the biggest problem we have with is North Korea. He indicated we will be in a war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war, and he does have plenty of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship, and there's no war.
combat engineer, sapper,
and
no
about
tab
2
doing.
months ago,
You were a
he
sapper,
broke
Matt?
into a certain area. They said, "Oh, there's
Right
going to
on.
be trouble." I said, "No, they're not, because he's not going to do that." And I was right. Look, instead of being in a war where millions of people, Seoul, you know, is 25 miles away, millions and millions, 32 million people in Seoul. Millions of people would be dead right now.
President
we
Trump,
don't have
that's
a war,
30
and I have a
seconds.
good
Thank
relationship.
you. Vice President Biden, to
Thank
you.
you,
North
Edgar.
Korea conducted 4 nuclear
We got all
tests
of our
under the
things
Obama
working.
administration. Why do you
Check
think
it out.
you would be able to rein in this persistent threat right
Because I'd make it clear, which we were making clear to China, they had to be part of the deal. Because here's the I made it clear, and as a spokesperson of the administration when I went to China, that
What,
they
Biden?
said, "Why are you moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here? Why are you continuing to do military maneuvers with
think
South
Joe's having
Korea?"
problems,
I said,
that's why they're moving
"Because
on."
North Korea is a problem, and we're going to continue to do it so we can control them. We're going to make sure we can control them and make sure they cannot hurt us. And so if you want to do something about it, step up and help. If not, it's going to continue." What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy, who's a
Landmine removal,
a thug,
Buffalo
and he talks about how we're better off.
pack
And they have much more
operator.
capable
I
missiles,
built the war.
able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you
I don't know
wouldn't
if that's
meet
a
with
good
Kim
thing or
Jong-un
not there,
without
Matt.
preconditions. Are there any conditions
I
under
mean, he
which
did
you
some
would meet
accomplishments,
with him?
but
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get the
So he has to
Korean
agree to
Peninsula
that?
a nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to American families.
They
Very
tried to
quickly,
meet with
10
him.
seconds,
They
President.
tried to meet with him. He wouldn't do it. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like it. He wouldn't do it.
Okay, I
No,
gotta
for
give him a
fact. They
chance to
tried.
respond to
You
that
guys
He
go.
before we
wouldn't
move
do
on.
it.
You
And
know,
that's
I-
okay. You know what, North Korea? We're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having
Anonymous
a good
American,
relationship
he wants to
with
control
leaders of
people,
other
he said.
countries
We have
is
a lot
a
of
good
countries.
thing.
We have a lot of questions to get
Yes,
to.
not
Your
That's
a
like
response.
saying we had a good relationship
Yeah, Joe
with
Biden's
Hitler
not doing
before
well on
he,
this
in
one
fact,
either, is
invaded Europe, the rest of Europe. Come on. The reason he would not meet with President Obama is because President Obama said, we're going to talk about denuclearization. We're not going to legitimize you, and we're going to continue to put
He will
stronger and
control
stronger
them, not
sanctions
meet them
on you.
face to face.
That's why he wouldn't meet with us.
All right,
And
let's
it didn't
move
happen.
on. Let's
Excuse
move on
me.
and talk
He
about
left
American
me a
families.
mess, Krista.
President Trump. Okay, we do
They
need to
left
move on.
me a mess. North Korea was a mess.
We
And
need
in fact,
to
if
move on
you
so that
remember
we
the
can
first
get to
2
all
or
of
3
our
months,
questions tonight.
there was a very dangerous period in my first 3 months before we sort of worked things out a little bit.
Okay.
There was a they left us a mess. And Obama would be, I think,
What about the
the first to
cages
say it
you
was
and
the
Obama
single
built
biggest
and the
problem he
detention
thought
camps?
that our
Yeah, I
country
know,
had.
Okay, let's move on to American families and
you're
the
getting into
economy.
some deep
One of the
conspiracy stuff
issues
now
that's
there,
most
QL.
important to them is health care, as you both know. Today, there was a key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and health care is at the center of her confirmation
Did she
fight. Over
she got
20
confirmed, I'm
million
guessing,
Americans
right?
get their health insurance through the Affordable
Need to
Care
find
Act.
some other
It's headed to the Supreme
variations of
Court,
awkward
and
dancing
your
girls. I know,
administration,
right?
Mr. President, is advocating for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme Court does
get it, Grandma,
overturn
with
that law,
pasties?
those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst
The last 15
part
months,
of
Iraq
Obamacare,
trained
as we
Iraq
call it.
soldiers
The individual
cause Obama
mandate where you have to pay a
won't
fortune
pull
for
out
the
as
privilege
they
of
stunt.
not having to pay
Iraq
for bad health insurance.
beg us to
I
stay. They
terminated
didn't
it. It's
understand
gone.
deployment.
Now
They
it's in
thought
court
we
because
stayed till
Obamacare is no
the war
good.
over.
But then I made a
Obama
decision,
failed.
run it as
Iraq
well as you
McCain
can
is ISIS.
to my people,
McCain
great
is-
people. Run it as well
It's a
as you
good thing
can.
he's
I could have
gone.
gone the other route and made everybody very
What about
unhappy.
Project Fast and
They ran it.
Furious? Oh, I got
Premiums are down.
one of
everything's
my
down.
favorite
Here's
gun
the
shops in
problem.
Arizona
No matter
is
how
on that
well you
one.
run it, it's no good. What we'd like to do is terminate it. We have the individual mandate done. I don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we will have to run it, and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare, because without the individual mandate, it's much different.
Well, your
Pre-existing
individual mandate was
conditions will always
unconstitutional
stay.
anyway.
What I would like to do is a much better health care, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful health care. The Democrats will do it because there'll
It's
be
gorgeous.
tremendous
It's the best
pressure on them,
healthcare
and we
you've ever
might even
seen.
have the House by that time. And I think we're going to win the House, okay? You'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But come up with a better health care, always protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care, far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies. These are people that love their health care, people that have been successful, middle-income people, been successful. They have 180 million plans, 180 million people, families, under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine. He won't even have a choice. They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care, and we're going to do even better.
Okay,
Let me
Vice
respond.
President Biden,
Oh,
yes, this
did they
is for
just
you.
mute
Your
him?
health care plan calls for building
I
on
think they
Obamacare.
just
So
muted
my
Trump.
question is, what is your plan if the law is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
He's going to stack the court.
What I'm going to do
That's what he's going to
is
do.
pass Obamacare with a public option. It'll become Biden care. The public option is an option that
Biden-care.
says that
Oh, God
if
help
you, in
us all.
fact, do not have the wherewithal to be, if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled, providing competition for insurance companies.
He's on
That's
photo
what's
with
going to happen.
leaders.
Secondly,
McCain
we're going to
was
make sure we
senile.
reduce the
I don't
premiums
think
and
he
reduce
sided
drug
with
prices
bad
by
guys
making sure
knowing
that
them,
there's
or the-
competition
McCain was a
that doesn't
warmonger,
exist
and I'm
now
not
by
cool with
allowing
that.
the Medicare
He just wanted to go to war all the time
negotiate
because he got
drug
money and
prices
kickbacks
with
from it.
the insurance
So
companies.
he got money every
Thirdly,
time a soldier died.
the idea
pretty
that
much.
I want to eliminate
Told us
private
combat
insurance, the reason why I
was
had such a
infantry
fight
with brains.
for with
Maybe
20
take good
candidates for
things
the
of
nomination
Obamacare, but I
was
mean, really,
I
bottom line, we
support
must take care of
private
ourselves.
insurance.
There you go.
That's why I did.
Yeah, they muted
not
him already.
one single person with private insurance would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They
Yeah,
did
but we
not
just couldn't
lose their
afford going
insurance
to the doctor.
unless they chose they wanted to go to something else.
It was so
Lastly,
expensive.
we're going to make sure we're in a situation that we actually protect pre-existing. There's no way he can protect pre-existing conditions. None. Zero. You can't do it in the
That's
ether.
why everyone
He's been
that
talking
had
about this
that
for a long
medical
time.
wanted
There is no, he's
out
never come up with a
overpayments.
plan. I guess we're going to get the pre-existing condition plan the same time we get the
Knowing the
infrastructure
scope on the
plan
ground, you gotta
that we've
build
been waiting
personal
since
relationship with
17,
local,
18,
give them food,
19, and
water,
20.
basic
The
medicine.
fact, I still have a few more minutes. I know
Yeah,
you're getting
it's how you
anxious.
win hearts and minds.
The fact is that
I just don't think we should have been
he's
there in the
already
first
cost
place.
the American people, because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and the economic spillover, 10 million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions. And all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. It relates to something that President Trump said. He's accusing you of wanting socialized medicine. What do you say to people who have concerns that your health care plan, which includes a government insurance option, takes the country one step closer to a health care system run entirely by the government? What's your response to that? I say
it's ridiculous. It's like saying that, we're the idea that the fact that there's a public option that people can choose, that makes it a socialist plan.
Yeah,
Look,
the
the difference between the president, I think health care is not a privilege, it's a right. Everyone should have the right to have affordable health care. And I am very proud of my plan.
It's
gotten endorsed by all the major labor unions, as well as
if he legalized weed, I'd vote for him.
Of other people who, in fact, are concerned in the medical
I'm
field.
going to vote for
this
Trump
is something
anyway.
that's
I wouldn't
going to
vote for
save
Biden if
people's
he legalized it.
And this is going to give some people an opportunity to have health care for their children. How many of you home are worried and rolling around in bed tonight wondering what in God's name you're going to do if you get sick because you've lost your home insurance, your health insurance, your company's gone under? We have to provide health insurance for people at an affordable rate, and that's what I do.
President Trump,
he was
your
there
response.
for 47 years. He didn't do it. He was now there as vice president for 8 years, and it's not like it was 25 years ago. It was 3 3/4. It was just a little while ago, right? Less than 4 years ago. He didn't do anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine, and it's not that he wants it. His vice president, she is more liberal than Bernie Sanders and wants it even more. Bernie Sanders wants it. The Democrats want it. You're going to have socialized medicine, just like he went with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania after he gets a nomination, where he got very lucky to get it. And he goes to Pennsylvania and he says, oh, we're going to have fracking. And you never asked that question. And by the way, so far,
there you
I
go,
respect
calling
very
her
much
out.
the way you're handling this, I have to say.
By the way,
but somebody should ask the question.
You can ask
he goes for a year. There will be no fracking. There will be no petroleum.
We have a number of topics we're going to get to.
That's a big question.
We're going to get to. We're going to get to.
It's the same thing with socialized medicine.
I have to respond.
Vice President, your
I'd vote
response.
Trump if he legalized weed,
People
made
deserve to have affordable health
arms
care.
legal.
Period.
I want to be able to shoot trees down.
And the
without
Biden care
taking
proposal will,
all day.
in fact,
Nice.
provide for that affordable health care, lower premiums. What we're going to do is going to cost some money. It's going to cost over $750 billion over 10 years to do it. And they're going to have lower premiums. You can buy into the better plans, the cheaper plans, lower your premiums, deal with unexpected billing, and have your drug prices drop significantly. He keeps talking about it. He hasn't done a thing for anybody on health care. Not a thing.
Kristen, when
Very
he
quickly,
says,
then I want to talk
when
about
he
what's
says
happening on
public
Capitol
option,
Hill.
he's talking about socialized medicine. And when and healthcare. When he talks about a public option, he's talking about destroying your Medicare, totally destroyed, and destroying your Social Security. And this whole country will come down. You know, Bernie Sanders tried it in his state. He tried it in his state. His governor was a very liberal governor. They want to make it work.
Okay,
let's let Vice President Biden respond. It doesn't
Vice
work.
President
He's
Biden,
a very
your
confused
response.
guy. He thinks he's running against somebody else. He's running against Joe Biden. I beat all those other people because I disagreed with them. Joe Biden he's running against. And the idea that we're in a situation that they're going to destroy Medicare, this is the guy that the actuary at Medicare said, if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact he continues to withhold his plan to withhold the tax on Social Security will be bankrupt by 2023 with no way to make up for it. This is the guy who's tried to cut Medicare. So the idea that Donald Trump is lecturing me on Social Security and Medicare, come on.
He tried to get rid of, he tried to hurt Social Security years ago. Years ago. Go back and look at the records. He tried to hurt Social Security years ago.
All right, let's move on. I'm going to move on.
Mr.
President, I have to move on to the next question.
They said
or
the
else
stock
we're not
market
going to
will
have time to
boom
talk about it.
if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay, let's move on to the next question very quickly.
Look, the idea that the stock market is booming is his only measure of what's happening. Where I come from in Scranton and Claymont, the people don't live off of the stock market. Just in the last three years during this crisis, the billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall Street,
that is true, but he claims he's the guy that's done everything.
$700 billion more dollars. Because that's his only measure. what happens to the ordinary people out there? What happens to them?
Let's talk about what's happening on Capitol Hill. We're going to move on,
401ks are through the roof.
We're going to move on.
Stock are through the roof.
All right.
And he doesn't come from Scranton. That's like he lived there for a short period of time before he even knew it.
We're going to move on to the next question.
And the people of Pennsylvania.
Let me move on to my next question, gentlemen.
You know,
As of tonight, more than 12 million
Trump,
people are
real
out of
Joe.
work. And as of tonight, 8 million more Americans have fallen into poverty, and more families are going hungry every day. Those hit hardest are women and people of color. They see Washington fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get them the help they need? 30 seconds here.
Because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve it. I do.
But you're the president.
I do, but I still have to get. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I think we're going to take over the House.
Because you're president doesn't mean you get to choose whatever you want.
Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve anything because she'd love to have some victories on a date called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something. Don't forget, we've already approved 3 plans, and it's gone through, including the Democrats, in all fairness. This one she doesn't want. It's near the election because she thinks it helps her politically. I think it hurts her politically.
All right, Mr. Vice President.
You know, the Republican leader in the United States Senate said he can't pass it. He will not be able to pass it. He does not have Republican votes. Why isn't he talking to his Republicans friends?
Let me follow up with you, Vice President.
We made a
Biden,
deal.
because let me ask Vice President Biden a question. You are the leader of the Democratic
Party. They lied
Party.
to Americans
Why
and
have you not
their
pushed
dirty
the Democrats
deals.
to get a deal for the American people?
Well, I have, and they have pushed it. Look, they passed this act all the way back in the beginning of the summer. This is like it's not new. It's been out there. This HEROES Act has been sitting there. And look,
if running your gums count as doing
when
something,
I was in charge of the Recovery Act with $800 billion, I was able to get $145 billion to local communities that have to balance their budgets and states that have to balance their budgets, so they didn't have to fire firefighters, teachers, first responders, law enforcement officers, so they could keep their cities and counties running. He will not support that. They have not done a thing for them. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Come on. What's the matter with these guys?
The bill that was passed in the House was a bailout of badly run,
Pelosi
high-crime, Democrat, all run by Democrats, cities and states. It was a way of getting a lot of money, billions and billions of dollars to these states. It was also a way of getting a lot of money from our people's pockets to people that come into our country illegally.
Just two
we were going to take care of everything for them.
losers.
And what that does, and I'd love to do that, I'd love to help them, but what that does, everybody all over the world will start pouring into our country. We can't do it. This was a way of taking care of them. This was a way of spending on things that had nothing to do with COVID, as per your question. But it was really a big bailout for badly run Democrat cities and states.
All right,
if I get elected, I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president. I don't see red states and blue states. What I see is American, United States. And folks, every single state out there finds themselves in trouble. They're going to start laying off, whether they're red or blue, cops, firefighters, first responders, because teachers, because they have to balance their budget. And the founders were smart. They allowed the federal government to deficit spend to compensate for the United States of America.
I want to talk about the minimum wage, gentlemen. Mr. Vice President, we are talking a lot about struggling small businesses and business owners these days. Do you think this is the right time to ask them to raise the minimum wage?
Yeah, I think you leave a thumbs up if you like it.
I do, because I think one of the things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bail them out too. We should be bailing them out now. Those small businesses. You got 1 in 6 of them going under.
Joe?
They're not going to be able to make it back. They passed a package that allows us to be able to call PPP. Money is supposed to go to help them do everything from organize how they can deal with their businesses being open safely.
Now that has to be
schools, how they can make classrooms smaller, how they can hire more teachers, how they can put ventilation systems
people went into church.
They need the help.
They'd be fine.
Businesses as well as the schools need the help. But these guys will not help them, is not giving them any of the money.
We are going to move on to immigration,
one thing very
but I
quickly,
want to get your
we have
reaction.
to help our small businesses by raising the minimum wage. That's not helping. I think it should be a state option. Alabama is different than New York. New York is different from Vermont. Every state is different. It should be a state option.
You said very
we have
recently.
to help. It's very important. We have to help our small businesses. How are you helping your small businesses when you're forcing wages? What's going to happen, and what's been proven to happen, is when you do that, these small businesses fire many of their employees.
You said very recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. You said recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Is that still the case?
And I would consider it to an extent, but
in
what
I really
like, in a second administration, but not to a level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It should be a state option. Look, I've lived in different places. I know different
100
places.
times worse than Jim Crow from the
Some
markets
places,
back.
$15 is not so bad. In other places, other states, $15 would be
Okay, President
ruinous.
Trump, thank you. Quick response, Vice President Biden.
2 jobs, 1 job, be below poverty. People are making $6, $7, $8 an hour. These first responders we all clap for as they come down the street because they've allowed us to make it. What's happening? They deserve a minimum wage of $15. Anything below that puts you below the poverty level. And there is no evidence that when you raise the minimum wage, businesses go out of business. That is simply not true.
We're going to talk about immigration. We're going to talk about immigration now,
$15 an hour doesn't buy you anything anymore.
And we're going to talk about families within this context.
Because everybody makes $15 an hour,
separated
and
children from
they have to pay their workers more, meaning they have to charge more for their product.
You've since reversed your zero-tolerance policy, but the United States can't locate the parents of more than 500 children. So how will these families ever be reunited?
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here, and they used to use them to get into our country. We now have as strong a border as we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall. You see the numbers, and we let people in, but they have to come in legally, and they come in through merit.
But how will you reunite these kids with their families?
Let me just tell you, they built cages. You know, they used to say, I built the cages. And then they had a picture in a certain newspaper, and it was a picture of these horrible cages. And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him.
Do you have a plan to reunite the kids?
Yes, we're working on it we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents. They come over through cartels and through coyotes and through gangs.
Vice President Biden, let me bring you into this conversation. Quick response and then another question.
When minimum wage here went to $12 an hour, we lost a bunch of small mom and pop shops.
They separated them at the border.
Broken
to make it a disincentive to come to
and what
begin
about all the
with.
people who already make 15?
They
stay
We're
at
really
15.
strong. And guess what? They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a
question. They did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
to
that?
They did it. We changed.
Did not
They built the cages. Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what we're talking about. Let's talk about what we're talking about.
Let's talk about what we're talking about.
Parents were ripped, their kids were ripped from their arms and separated.
From the cages?
And now they cannot find over 500 sets of those parents, and those kids are
give cost
alone.
of living increase, but they only
Nowhere to go.
amount to
Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you about
I will say this. They went down. We brought
seconds,
reporters, everything. They are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some of them haven't been reunited
But
with
just
their
ask
families.
one question. Who built the cages?
Who built the cages, Joe?
Who built the cages?
Let me ask
Who
about
built
your
the
immigration
cages?
policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama
let's
administration
hashtag
did
that
fail
up.
to
I want to
deliver
put that in right
immigration
now. Hold
reform,
on.
which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy, and they want to do that, is they've gone to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the
kids
Rio
aren't the
Grande
same as our
River,
cartel
and
uses kids,
and it's
no
illegal.
Jail for them.
And you say,
and
oh no,
they're
Mom, leave me here.
18.
I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many
Yes,
of them are
these
model
kids are
citizens. Over
insane.
20,000 of them are first responders. out there taking care of people during this crisis. We owe them. We owe them.
President
Christian, he
Trump,
had
pretend to be
8 years
cops
to
arresting
do what he
kids
said
at
he
the
was
door.
going to do.
Patriot
And
Group
I've
has
changed
proof of
without
pay,
having
video
a
proof.
specific.
The
We got rid of
kids are
catch and
criminal.
release. We got rid of a lot of
mules.
horrible things that they
No
put in
glitters.
and that they lived
It's
with.
funny, they
But he
talk
had
about kids
8
and
years
they
he
make
was
it
vice
sound like they're like
president.
2,
He
3 years
did
old.
nothing
These are like
except
17,
build cages
18-year-old kids.
to keep children in.
Half the kids don't
Vice
belong
President
in
Biden,
home
your
and use them.
response.
Sorry,
The
Joe.
catch and release, you know what he's talking about there?
Cages were
If in
already
fact
in
you
place.
had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up
Yeah,
for
well,
a
they
hearing.
did not.
And this is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise, why I deserve it under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
President Trump, your response,
So
30
important.
seconds, and then we'll move
It just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws. Catch and release is a disaster. A murderer would come in, a rapist would come in, a very bad person would come in. We would take their name. We have to release them into our country. And then you say they come back. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send ICE out and Border Patrol out to find them. We would say, come back in 2 years, 3 years.
2
We're going to give you a
years?
court case. You need Perry
2
Mason.
years?
We're going to give you a court case. When you
Come
say
here
they
legally,
come
yeah.
back,
Come here
they
legally or
don't come
don't
back,
come at
Joe.
all.
They never come back. Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay,
But
President
very,
Trump, let's
very
give
few.
Vice President Biden a chance to respond, and then we're going to move on to
should
the
have
next
said
don't know
the
the
only
law,
section.
ones
Joe.
that actually come
Vice
here
President
for a
Biden, your
reason.
response.
Know the law, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check it out. They don't come back.
Check it out.
All right, let's move
But
on
we don't have to
the
worry
next
about it because they
section.
terminated it. So we don't have to worry about
Let's
it
move
anymore.
on to the next
And you have
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about our next section, which is race in America. And I want to talk
Obviously,
about the way
race.
Black and brown Americans experience race in this country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr. Vice President, in the next 2 minutes, I want you to
I think
speak
everybody
directly
should have
to
that
these
talk with their
families.
child.
Do you understand
Doesn't matter
why
what
these
color of the
parents
skin they
fear
have.
for their children?
A lot of
I do.
white people
I do.
get shot by cops
You
too.
know, my daughter is a social worker, and she's written a
plenty of
lot
that
about
evidence.
this. She has her graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know, one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. What I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts for a
Your daughter's
traffic stop,
not-
put both hands on top of the wheel.
Your daughter
and
is
don't
not
reach
an
for the
ethnic
glove box
minority.
because someone may shoot you. But a black parent, no matter how wealthy or how
I
poor
do
they
that.
are, has to teach their child when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street. Making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, yes, sir, no, sir.
Okay, Jim
hands
Crow
on
Joe.
top of the wheel, because
I
you
hate all
are,
this
in fact,
Crow.
the victim, whether you're a person making
up here in the police for a good
$300,000 a year person or someone who's on food stamps. The fact of the matter is,
Can you
it
imagine
is
these two-party
institutional racism in America.
partying together?
And we have always
Taking
said,
bumps of
we've never lived up to it, that we
powder
hold these
off of
truths
the
to be
person's
self-evident.
nip.
All men and women are created equal. But guess what? We have never, ever lived up to it, but we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion, not exclusion. This is the first
What are
president
you
to come along and
drinking
says
tonight,
that's the
Armbar?
end of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We have to provide for economic opportunity, better education, better health care,
Do you
better
understand why
access to
African-American
schooling,
parents are fearful
better
for
access
their children?
to
I think every
opportunity
American
to borrow money to
should
start
have that
businesses.
conversation with their
All
children.
the things we can do, and I've laid out a clear plan
That's a police
as to how
officer
to
problem.
do those things. Just to give people a
hate
shot.
all this
It's
racist
about
talk. My wife has never
accumulating
been
the
treated
ability
any
to have
different than I
wealth
do.
as well as it is
Shit, I was
to
told
be
to put
free
my
from
hands on the steering
violence.
wheel. Yeah.
President Trump, same question to you, and let me remind you of the question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, He's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except
go.
in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators. And they have never lived that down. 1994, your crime bill.
Wow,
the super
he's bringing
predators.
up the crime
Nobody
bill.
has done more for
Somebody
the black
ring the bell of height.
community than Donald Trump. And if you
Gotta
look,
get me something like that.
with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible exception, but the exception of Abraham Lincoln, nobody has done what I've done. Criminal justice reform, Obama and Joe didn't do it. I don't even think they tried because they had no chance at doing it. They might have wanted to do it, but if you had to see the arms I had to twist to get that done, it was not a pretty picture, and everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities, and then historically black colleges and universities. After 3 years of coming to the office, I love some of those guys. They were great. They came into the office and they said, I said, what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year. We have to come back because President Obama would never give them long-term funding, and I did. 10-year long-term funding, and I gave them more money than they asked for because they said, I think you need more. And I said, the only bad part about this is I may never see you again because I got very friendly with them, and they like me and I like them. But I saved historically black colleges and universities.
Okay, and we're going to talk about both of your records, but your response to that, Vice President?
My response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying. The fact of the matter is, in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is a guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who are going to maraud our cities. This is a guy who in the Central Park five innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes they were suggested. Look, and talk about granted, he did in fact let 20 people, he commuted 20 people's sentences. We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where the federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration.
Thought the mic was
and
muted,
one of the
apparently
things
it
we should
wasn't.
be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail.
I don't think they should be going to
fundamentally
rehabilitation
change
either.
the system, and that's
Let them do what they want to do.
But why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4 years ago, even less than that? Why didn't you do it? You were vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do, and you're going to do this. But you were there just a short time ago, and you guys did nothing.
We did.
You know,
It
Joe,
was the shit.
I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I would have never run. I ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician. I ran because of you.
All right, Vice President Biden, your response to that, and then I do have some questions.
Oh, that's a good
I'll tell
one.
you what, I hope he does look at me, because what's happening here is, you know who I am, you know who he is, you know his
I know
character,
who you are,
know
Joe.
my character, you know our reputations for honor and telling the
You
truth.
legalized crack. This is
I am
a
anxious to
wrap.
have this race.
Biden wins.
I am anxious to see this take place. I am.
Did he say that he
character of the
legalized it? I don't
country is
think
on
he
the
did.
ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some follow-up.
That's a lie. It went up 47% during his time in
True about
office.
Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq. If this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody-
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of
Look
race.
at the
We're talking about
laptop from
race.
hell.
From hell.
President Trump, we're
Nobody.
talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
And I
you've
have
just
to respond to that.
please,
Obviously,
very
you do.
There
quickly.
are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have
Yeah.
said that this has all the
Russia plant.
5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his
Red
and his
is
good
fiercer
friend Rudy
color, blue
Giuliani.
man
You mean the
looking
laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And
You
that's
gotta be-
exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what.
This
was
is
told.
where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Yes.
Russia,
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You
okay?
have to
Joe,
be
that's
kidding.
why
Here
he's
we
Mr.
go
President?
again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of race. Mr. President, you've
believe that.
Leak it all.
described the Black Lives Matter movement as a symbol of hate. You've shared
is
a
a symbol
video
of
of a
hate.
man chanting white power to millions of your supporters. You've said that black professional athletes
Oh,
exercising
wow.
their First Amendment rights should be fired.
First
What do you
Amendment
say to
on their
Americans
job?
who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I thought it was a terrible thing. As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Well, what do you say to Americans
I'm
who
the
are
least
concerned
racist
by
person
that
that I know.
rhetoric
I don't know.
and by
I mean, I
the
don't know
videos?
what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of black colleges and universities. I don't know what to
Sucks.
say.
I'll
They can
take
say anything.
maca
I mean,
root
they can
and
say
eat
anything. It's a
coca,
very.
but
It
it's
makes me
illegal.
sad because I am the least racist
Coca
person. I
leaf
can't even see
tea
the
is very
audience
good,
because
yeah.
it's so dark. But I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Okay, Vice President Biden, let me
Abraham-
ask you very quickly, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had in modern history.
Hmm.
He pours fuel on every single racist fire. Every single one. Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys. Last time we were
The
on
poor
stage
boys?
here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy has a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
President Trump, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have a follow-up.
You made a reference to Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
You said
where
you're
did that-
Abraham
No,
Lincoln.
where did that? No.
You said-
I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community.
And I'm
I didn't
saying-
say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the black community. Now, you have done nothing other than the crime bill.
The crime
which
bill,
put
yeah. You're the guy, Joe.
God.
tens of thousands of black men, mostly in jail.
All right, let me-
And you know
let me
what?
a- let me
they
ask
remember
Vice
it
President
because if you
Biden-
look at what's
Ever
happening with the voting
tried
right now,
Coke
Let me ask
they
Vice
remember
President
that you
Biden
treated them
about-
very, very badly.
The-
Just
the-
take a look
Tried
at what's
those either.
happening out there.
Vice President Biden, let me
I mean,
give
I've
you a
had
chance to
painkillers
respond
with those,
within
I don't
this context. Crime bills that you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens
Yeah.
of thousands of young black men who had small amounts of drugs
Did
in
he
their
call
possession.
Orange
They have
Man
sons, they have
Abraham
brothers,
Lincoln?
their
Yes, he did.
fathers, their uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering
Hey,
the
what
consequences.
president
So
he
speak to
talking,
those
Teddy
families.
Roosevelt?
Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been
How?
trying to change the sense and particularly the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been arguing that, in fact, we should not send anyone to jail for a pure
Then why
drug
didn't you do
offense.
that in
They
8
should be
years?
going into treatment across the board. That's what we should be
8
spending money.
years.
That's why I set up drug courts, which were never funded by our Republican
people in jail
friends.
to fill up your
They
pocket.
should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into treatment. Treatment. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what I'm going to get done, because I think the American people have now seen that, in fact, it was a mistake to pass those laws relating to the drug. But they were not in the crime bill.
But why didn't he get it done? See, it's all talk, no action with these politicians. Why didn't he get it done? That's what I'm going to do when I become president. You were vice president along with Obama as your president, your leader, for 8 years. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a lot of it done. We released 38,000. We got 38,000 prisoners left from
you got nothing done.
38,000 prisoners were released from federal prison. We have there were over 1,000 people who were given clemency. In fact, we're the ones that put in the legislation saying we could look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they were conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running to win back that election and change his terrible policy.
I just asked one question. Why didn't you do it in the 8 years, a short time ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this.
Tips if you need
you put tens of thousands of mostly black young men in prison. Now you're saying you're going to undo that. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with Obama. You know why, Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President Biden, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
We had a Republican Congress.
So?
That's the answer.
Well, you got to talk them into it, Joe. Sometimes you got to talk them into it.
We're going to move on to our next section.
Like I did with criminal justice reform. I had to talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen, we're running out of time, so we got to get on to climate change, please. You both have very different visions on climate change. President Trump, you say that environmental regulations have hurt jobs in the energy sector. Vice President Biden, you have said you see addressing climate change as an opportunity to create new jobs. For each of you, how would you both combat climate change and support job growth at the same time? Starting with you, President Trump, you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest number in carbon emissions, which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time. Not Joe. I haven't heard Joe use the term because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means, but I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best carbon emission numbers that we've had in 35 years under this administration. We are working so well with industry, but here's what we can't do. Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the best carbon emission standards
just because it causes somebody to do crime. That's like saying, well, having a car
we haven't destroyed our industries.
Right?
You have
a vehicle that's going to cause more accidents. No.
Climate change and climate warming, global warming is an existential threat to humanity. We have a moral obligation to deal with it.
Well, he did that
less than 2 minutes. We're told by all the leading scientists in the world we don't have much time. We're going to pass the point of no return within the next 8 to 10 years. 4 more years of this man eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us to clean up the climate, to limit limit emissions will put us in a position where we're going to be in real trouble. Here's where we have a great opportunity. I was able to get both all the environmental organizations as well as labor, the people worried about jobs, to support my climate plan. Because what it does, it will create millions of new good-paying jobs. We're going to invest in, for example, 500,000 50,000 charging stations on our highways so that we can own the electric car market of the future. In the meantime, China is doing that. We're going to be in a position where we're going to see to it that we're going to take 4 million existing buildings and 2 million existing homes and retrofit them so they don't leak as much energy, saving hundreds of millions of barrels of oil in the process and creating significant number of jobs. And by the way, the whole idea of what this is all going to do, it's going to create millions of jobs. And it's going to clean the environment. Our health and our jobs are at stake. That's what's happening. And what right now, by the way, Wall Street firms indicated that my plan,
What's up, Fallout Gaming? How you doing?
18.6 million jobs, 7 million more than his. This is from Wall Street. And I'll create $1 trillion more in economic growth than his proposal does. Not on climate, just on the economy.
President Trump,
They came out and said very strongly, $6,500 will be taken away from families under his plan, that his plan is an economic disaster. If you look at what he wants to do, if you look at his plan, his environmental plan, you know who developed it? AOC plus 3. They know nothing about the climate. I mean, she's got a good line of stuff, but she knows nothing about the climate. And they're all hopping through hoops for AOC plus 3. Look, their real plan costs $100 trillion.
Did you guys hear the black box when the Titanic was
found? If we had the best year in the history of our country for 100 years, we would not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings, they want to take buildings down because they want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. This is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. And this wasn't done by smart people. This wasn't done by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it can be good politically. Right. They want to spend $100 trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was 6. It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows. I mean, and many other things.
Okay.
And many other things.
Let me have the Vice President respond, and we're running out of time, and we have a lot more questions to get to. So let's hear from the Vice President.
Climate change, well, I don't
know where he comes
the
from.
third countries.
I don't know where he comes up with these numbers.
$100
trillion. Give me a break. This plan is endorsed by every major environmental group.
Go ahead and push to the Green New Deal
group. Labor, because they know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know there are good jobs in getting us there. And by the way, the fastest growing industry in America.
Here's the thing: you can't regulate morality in America.
You
can try.
Solar energy and wind. He thinks wind causes cancer. Windmills.
People still do drugs.
It's the fastest growing
jobs.
Working. And they pay good prevailing wages, $45-50 an hour. We can grow and we can be cleaner if we go the route I'm proposing.
President Trump, please respond, and then I have some follow-ups.
We are energy independent for the first time. We don't need all of these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We are energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely expensive, kills all the birds, it's very intermittent, it's got a lot of problems, and they happen to make the windmills in both Germany and China. And the fumes coming up, if you're a believer in carbon emission, the fumes coming up to make these massive windmills is more than anything that we're talking about with natural gas, which is very clean. One other thing.
Find me a scientist said that.
I love solar, but solar doesn't quite have it yet. It's not powerful yet to really run our big, beautiful factories that we need to compete with the world. So it's all a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do? We're going to have the greatest economy in the world. But if you want to kill the economy, get rid of your oil industry. And what about fracking?
All right, let me allow Vice President Biden to respond.
Ask him about fracking.
I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is he's flat lying.
Did you rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because the answer, we need other industries to transition to get to ultimately
I can think of a few
complete
of my
zero
stepkids'
emissions by
friends that
2025. What I will do with
to have
fracking over time is make sure
Narcan,
that we can
and some of them
capture
have
the emissions
had
from
to
the
have it
fracking,
2 or 3
capture the
times.
emissions from gas.
I don't know
We
what
can do that,
Narcan
and we can do
Narcan
that
is.
by investing money and doing it. But it's a transition to that.
I'm not
I have
saying
one more
drugs are
question in
good.
this pod, and then
Excuse
we
me,
have.
he was against
can't
fracking. He
regulate
said
morality.
it. I will show that to you tomorrow. I
Good.
am against fracking. Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania, then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania? He'll be against it very soon because his party is totally against it.
Fracking on federal land, I said. No
Here's
fracking.
the thing, though. You can
You
also
said
get
oil on
drugs
federal
Let
in
me
jail.
ask this
I
final
did.
question
So
in
what
this
is sending them
section,
to jail
and then I
doing?
want to move on to our final section. President Trump, people of color are much more likely to live near oil refineries and chemical plants. In Texas, there are families who
people
worry
live
the
there.
plants near them are making them sick.
Maybe because of
Your
the broken
administration
families?
has rolled back regulations on these kinds of facilities. Why should these families give you another 4 years in office?
The families that we're talking about are employed heavily, and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever made. If you look at the kind of numbers that we produce for Hispanic, for Black, for Asian, it's 9 times greater the percentage gain
administration
than it
also
was
went after
under,
activists
in
and
3
whistleblowers
years,
like
than it was
Aaron
under
Swartz.
8 years of the
Solar
2
only
of
works
them,
when the sun is
to
up.
put
It
it
does
nicely.
not store the energy at
9
night
times
at
more.
this time.
Now,
Yeah, you can.
somebody
Yeah, you can.
lives,
It's
I
called
have
batteries.
not heard the numbers or the
You live in Ashford, don't you? Don't you live off of
but
solar?
they're making a tremendous
did.
amount of money economically. We saved it, and
we
I
had
saved
no
it again a number
electricity.
of
It
months
was
ago when
just
oil
solar.
was crashing because of the pandemic.
Okay.
We saved it.
Still
We
Team
got,
Six
say what you want
finishing?
about relationship.
There you
We got Saudi Arabia,
when Joe knows
Mexico,
it's
and
blowing it out his
Russia
butt.
to cut back, way back. We saved our oil
Power lines
industry,
go down,
and now
Saudi
it's
solar.
very vibrant again.
All
And
right.
everybody has very inexpensive
Solar can
gasoline.
go
Remember
down.
Vice President
especially
Biden,
when
your
it's large.
response, and then we're going to have a final
But I
question
mean,
for both of
our
you.
My
solar was
response is
protected
that
with
those people live
lightning
on what they call
protectors.
fence lines. He doesn't understand this. They live near chemical
Unless you
plants
had
that in
solar
fact
and
pollute,
you're off-grid
chemical
100%,
plants and oil
you
plants
might
and
not
refineries
understand
that
it, though.
pollute. I used to live near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And all the more oil refineries in Marcus Hook and the Delaware River than there is any place, including in Houston at the time. When my mom get in the car and when there was first frost to drive me to school, turning the windshield wiper, there'd be oil slick in the window. That's why so many people in my state were dying and getting cancer. The fact is, those frontline communities, it doesn't matter what you're paying them, it matters how you keep them safe. What do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions the pollutants coming out of
New
those fence
Tesla
lines.
solar stuff seems pretty good.
Okay,
yeah,
I have
it's
one
really
final
good,
Would he
but
question.
close
also-
down the oil industry?
It falls.
You have to
Would
be on
you
the
close
grid
down
to
the
use
oil
it.
By the way, I
industry?
would transition
You
from
can't
the
be
oil
off-grid
industry,
and use
yes.
it.
Oh,
I would
that's a big
transition.
statement.
It is a big statement
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop
Why would you do that?
because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
And here's the deal, but
That's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
that. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time, and I'd stop giving to the oil industry. I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas. Excuse me, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do
All
give
right.
it to solar and wind.
We
And
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the
We are
biggest
totally
statement.
off grid.
Because
We have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question.
is
have
he's
Mr.
going to
batteries to
President.
hold
destroy
the energy. The
the oil
country
industry.
doesn't have that
Will
option.
you remember that,
The
Texas?
country
Will
can
you
Okay.
print
remember
as
that,
much money as it
Pennsylvania,
wants.
Oklahoma?
Vice President
It
Biden,
could
let me
have
give you
the
10 seconds
best
to respond, and then I
batteries
have to get
ever,
to the final question.
including the
Vice
Tesla
President Biden.
ones, or have Tesla
Takes
make new
everything out of
ones
context,
for
but
the
the point
country.
is, look, we have
And
to
obviously,
move
it would have to
toward
be a smaller,
net zero
like
emissions.
this town or
The first
this
place to
amount
do
of
that by
blocks
the
of
year
a town has it
2035
for
is
this
in
amount of
energy
blocks.
production by 2050 totally.
All right. One
Is he gonna
final
get
question.
China
for
to
both
do
of
it?
you. No, we're finished
Twice.
with
Is
this.
he
We
going
have
to
to
get
move on
China
to
to
our
do it?
final
And
question.
this
We
year-
have to
I'm
move
going
on
to
to our
rejoin
final
Paris
question.
Accord and make
19
China abide by what they agreed to.
All right,
That'll
this
cost you
is
$1
about
trillion.
leadership,
Feed,
gentlemen.
catch up,
And
give him a
this
chance,
first
though.
question does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day. What will you say in your address to,
Biden wins, gas prices
Americans who
skyrocket.
did not
Maybe.
vote for you? You'll each have 1 minute, starting with you, Mr.
We have to make
1
our
minute.
country totally successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it, and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time, et cetera. But I will tell you, go back. Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting calls from people that were not normally people that would call me. They wanted to get together. We had the best Black unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Hispanic, women, Asian, people with diplomas, with no diplomas, MIT graduates, #1 in the class. Everybody had the best numbers. And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success is going to bring us together. We are on the road to success. But I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's taxes, and he wants to put new regulations on everything. He will kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401ks will go to hell, and it'll be a very, very sad day for this country.
All right. Vice President Biden, same question to you. What will you say during your inaugural address to Americans who did not vote for you?
I will say, I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted
like
for me or against me.
Obama said.
And I'm going to make sure that you're represented. I'm going to give you hope. We're going to move. We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose hope over fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism. And at the same time, we can make sure that our economy is being run and moved and motivated by clean energy, creating millions of new jobs. And that's the fact. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning, what is on the ballot here is the character of this country: decency, honor, respect, treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone has an even chance. And I'm going to make sure you get that. You haven't been getting it the last 4 years.
I wasn't getting it
All
in
right.
8 years.
I want to thank you
Obama
both
either.
for a very robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden, thank you to Belmont University for hosting us tonight. And most importantly, thank you to those watching tonight. Election Day is November 3rd. Don't forget to vote. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.
Thank you.
All right. We'll mute them. Let's catch up on the chat. You can't say Jack. He should not be in office. Blessed with the job through all this. Yes, you were, Riddle. Keep your hope, Joe. Melania's got a mask on now. Is he going to bring out his mask? Yeah, everybody's wearing a mask now, right? When they say they're here to help, you know, shit, it going to hell. None of which you have, Joe, says Irish.
She had a custom mask to match her dress.
Right. Who did? Or they should?
Biden's wife, she has a mask.
Yeah. It's the same pattern as their dress.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. So what do you think? Obviously, y'all are conservatives mostly, unless I have a roaming Democrat that hasn't spoke up in this chat. And, you know, if you haven't, welcome. I always appreciate a difference of opinion as long as it's respectful. But, I mean, we can all... If I ask you who you thought won, I'd say that Joe did all right for the most part. He did have some moments where I was thinking that maybe he was going off the rail. Maybe he forgot what he was supposed to say. Maybe the drugs that he might have been given are wearing off a little bit. I don't really know. But he held it together okay. I didn't see any wires tonight, but I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow if there's any more Wiregate going on. Right? Broken Patriot will probably be all over that. By the way, Broken Patriot is having a chat later tonight. I forget what time. 10 o'clock? So the old time that I used to have mine at. I just noticed their ties. Biden's blue, Trump red. Yeah, they do that every year, Broken Patriot. They do that because that's the colors of their party. So Trump wears a red tie at campaign events because he's a Republican. And Biden wears a blue tie because he's a Democrat. That's how that works. Okay. Let's get over here. No arrest. Dang. Yeah, I know, right? Now you need your drugs after this? Okay, with the drug debate, right? I don't think drugs should be illegal. I'm not a proponent of doing drugs, but at the same time, I think the drug war is a failed war. It wasn't a war on drugs, it was a war on people. You put a lot of people behind bars where they got drugs anyway, and they still were addicts afterwards. Some people managed to get through it, sure, I would imagine so. Some people get off of drugs on their own anyway, right? But I would say the mass majority of people that were on drugs did not get off of drugs just because they got arrested for it. You know what I mean? It was some other reason. So I don't think they should be illegal. You can't regulate morality. It's just not how it happens. It doesn't work that way. That's like saying, let's take away all the guns. And then there won't be any more gun crimes. Well, first of all, there will still be gun crimes, but there'll also still be mass murders. You can kill a bunch of people with chemicals underneath the sink of your underneath the sink in your house, right? You can kill a whole bunch of people we've seen with, pressure cooker. There's a whole bunch of different ways. Some fertilizer, that's all you need. So don't tell me that, it's going to solve all the world problems if we get rid of guns, trying to regulate morality. We already have murder being illegal. Drugs are illegal. Drugs still happen. Murder's illegal. Murder still happens. Okay, you don't make murder not illegal at that point, obviously. I just talked myself out of that one, huh? So murder's still illegal whether or not. So maybe, I don't know, it's a discussion we could have. But I don't know. I don't really like it. However, I mean, if they're stealing money or doing something illegal in order to get their drugs, I have a problem with that. They should definitely go to jail for that. But at the same time, if somebody wants to come home and unwind however they want to unwind, that's none of my business. As long as they're not hurting anybody else, right? Murder, they're hurting somebody else. Somebody doing drugs, doing the drug itself is not hurting somebody else. The way they get their drug or what they do when they're on their drug could be hurting somebody else. Anyway, I probably made that worse in the long run by talking about it. They didn't mention SEAL team. No, they did not. I'm ready for November 6th as they will still be counting mail-in ballots. People abuse drugs because of pain, mental or physical abuse. Yeah, I would agree with that, QO. There's a lot of reason why. And some people just have an addictive personality. But yeah, there's a lot to that. I don't think jail is the right answer. And it's just my opinion on that. Biden does crack law. Not fair. Yes, Zoo, but it's not just China. They got hello? Okay, they got help. Sorry. I get it. The P and the O close together. Now, I got a link. Hold on. From somebody. And let's go open that. Let's see. Let's bring back all my pages. All right. Volunteer in Oxford Rona vaccine trial dies. Reportedly did not receive experimental vaccine. So what did he get? Did he get the placebo? A Brazilian who participated in the clinical trial of an experimental Rona vaccine has died. Brazil's National Health Surveillance Agency, which has overseen multiple vaccine trials in a country suffering from one of the world's worst outbreaks, said the individual volunteered to receive the vaccine candidate developed by Oxford University and produced by AstraZeneca. The Brazilian newspaper O Globo, citing unnamed sources, reported that the volunteer was in a group that did not receive the experimental vaccine and died of the C-19. The news service G1 said the volunteer was a 28-year-old physician who treated Rona patients in Rio de Janeiro. The National Health Surveillance Agency said it was informed of the volunteer's death Monday. The agency said that place International Safety Committee had recommended the trial continue. So I thought you said that they died after receiving the vaccine. They obviously did not receive the vaccine. I am surprised he died. I mean, you got a really good chance not to, supposedly, according to the new numbers, right? Trump has shaken the view women to their core. I just got an email of a story on that. In fact, let me go over there. I'm kind of curious now. Let's see what that's all about. Trump has shaken the view women to their core. Let me bring that up. I was on the flight before all this craziness craziness happened last year, and I overheard a conversation between a lady and a friend of hers where she was talking about the massive collection of movies she had from some actor. It sounded like she spent hundreds of dollars on this. She then went on to tell a person how she had thrown them all away when he found out that the actor who starred in the movies was a Trump supporter. Really? There's an actor that's a Trump supporter? That'd be an older actor, right? It'd have to be. Unless it was Kirstie Alley, but I think she was more of a TV star. President Trump is living rent-free inside the head of millions upon millions of Americans. Not only are the celebrity ties on the TV working overtime to get the American people to hate and fear Trump, they are also falling prey to their own Bravo Sierra. How many times have we heard about the lefty in Hollywood telling us that Trump was literally Hitler, or warning how he was going to destroy the nation? It never ends, and it never will end until the left gets back power. Once they do, look out, because I have a feeling they'll be looking to get revenge, and after working so hard to dehumanize conservatives, it would not be surprising to see some horrific events occur. A lot of false flags, right? I don't watch daytime TV, and I never have. Yada yada.
Who says it was Keanu Reeves?
Keanu Reeves supports President Trump? Nah, I don't know about that. As well as the other 99.9% of the entertainment industry, these women are convinced that Joe Biden is going to win the election. They try assigning all the C-19 deaths to President Trump, and they are relying on the same polls that were wrong in 2016 for their confidence. Since President Trump's rapid recovery from the virus, the Trump team has been promoting the reopening of the country and asking people to stop living in fear. Well, Whoopi Goldberg of The View told her audience that she in a depression over Trump. That she was in a depression? That she in a depression over Trump. Okay, bad English. Whoopi Goldberg says she's fallen into depression because of Trump. Everything he says is pissing me off. What he's talking about, I'm in depression now because of him. Every time I see him, he depresses me. Everything he says is pissing me off and depressing me, Goldberg said on Monday on The View. Yeah, interesting. 50 Cent is backing Trump, is he? I know Ice-T had come out, not saying that he supported Trump, but really calling out Democrats for not providing anything better. And, like, really calling them out. You really think Keanu Reeves, Matt Zoo, is a Trump supporter? I don't know. I'm going to need some hard evidence on that. Mr. TB9 is going to bed. All right, well, we're about to sign off anyway, but thank you very much for joining. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. He has been in the Matrix. Yeah, I know he was in the Matrix. The Matrix is what we talk about a lot on this channel, and a lot of gun channels do. I think the debate was shit, just more noise. It was. Death number from ventilators. Doctors paid $29K. What pill are you guys talking, red or blue? I mean, president you voting for? What's up, Get Real? How you doing? Well, I'm not a fan of President Trump for a lot of reasons. However, I am rooting for him, and I will be voting for him. But he has done a lot of things that have upset me. I'm not like, if you came here to be, total MAGA supporting, Trump 2020, everything Trump does is great, you're in the wrong channel. But if you don't mind somebody who's going to vote for Trump, who will call Trump out, hey, man, you found the right place. So red pill. There you go. I'm a conservative, but I'm a constitutionalist conservative. I believe in freedom above everything else, if that tells you anything. Ice Cube, yeah. Watching The View pisses me off. I haven't watched it for years. Makes your eyes bleed and your ears bleed. Only he has that many movies. I don't know. There's a few other actors I think that have a whole bunch of movies. Owen Wilson has quite a few. Okay, good night. Okay, number 8 on the likes. Only 8 likes? Really? Wow. Was I that bad? Honestly, is the lesser.
I'm showing 14 likes.
Okay. And then Matt Zoo is pushing his eBay store. So go check. If you're into getting military surplus, I don't know if it's a good price or not, to be honest. But I would imagine he's going to say it is. So if you're interested in picking up some military surplus, go check out Matt Zoo's eBay store. He just linked it right there in the chat. Now, don't forget, we do have links in the descriptions below. And the first one is to Adam Lawson's Blessed. I just got a comment while we were doing this that that's a dumb song. It doesn't even rhyme right. Next is all the causes I believe in and support. We got Justice for Cannon, the 5-year-old boy who was shot in the head by his neighbor who was black. You won't hear it on the news. Kyle Rittenhouse's Defense Fund. If you want to donate to that, that is below in the descriptions below. Ryan Whitaker has a GoFundMe set up and a Facebook page, Justice for Ryan. If you haven't heard about Justice for Ryan or Ryan Whitaker, it's because he's white. He got on his knees and put his hands up and the cop shot him in the back. If you want more about his case, go to Justice for Ryan on Facebook. Help find our missing in action. That's projectrecover.org. It's an organization that goes out and looks for lost service members and reunites their remains with their families. Can't talk. Lastly is Rally Point Irish. My good friend, Irish USMC vet, who is also in chat right now, is trying to set up a location in Tennessee where veterans can come and live room and board free while learning a new skill like farming, blacksmithing, or gunsmithing. Next are all the different ways you can support my content if you so choose to do so. And lastly is all the different places you can follow me. I'm on BitChute, DLive, Parler, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Well, Facebook is Riddle Girl, not me, because I don't really like doing Facebook. But she does talk about this chat on her Facebook page and other political topics. So go check that out if you so choose. I always liked watching The View until Ellen came along, says Mr. TB9. I just like it moved to 15. All right, cool. Thank you, Gerald. Gabriel says Walmart is turning into FEMA camps. People have dreamed. This is just saying. And Broken Patriot, hey, Matt, got any blue UN helmets? Maybe we could use some target practice. BP, are you looking for targets? There you go. Gabriel was at that was Walmart closing in Texas. Those are Obama cages, ICE Center, and Walmart in Texas. And when you start slurring like Joe, time to end the show. Dude, English has always been... See, Joe used to be able to talk right. Okay? I have, since 2006, video proof of me messing up words that I could dig out if I wanted to. Maybe I could go... If I hired an editor, maybe I would do it. And just show a montage of all the words that I've screwed up. Yeah. Seriously. Follow me on eBay. I've got a few bug out items and loading more. Sweet. All right, guys. Well, that's all I got here for tonight's evening catch-up. Make sure to check us out tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so at regular time. And until then, make sure to keep your family close. Watch out for that government and try to live as free as you possibly can in this tyrannical world. Until tomorrow. Peace.